polisi tonga.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early lights what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Home of the brave. Home of the brave.
E ho e ki pia mo e hamata pule o ku whiawhia ai moto a whaiwhatongia ke taitarerea ki motolu i he aho whakakoloa koe ni, ai a koe ulaki pule lulu e ni e mahina fo o ko ia ko sune. Pea kore mau ai pe ke tuku mua ai whakawhetai mo e whakamalo maalunga taha ulawa ke tau mau ke he tau tamai he wani ko ia koe aho whakakoloa koe ni. O ne whakakoloa koe pea moho o whaamiri o tau a usia le rei ai ahoni. I kai ko hale rei na tau whai ka koe ofa tae whiriwhiri manako e tau tamai he wani o tāpu ki nei a ki tau tolu koe kainga tonga. Hau eki mo e haa mata pule mo e whare o haa mo e ofo. Pea i he ene pehe ku tuha mo tau ke tau tuku ma oe pe ai whawhetai mo e whamalo maalunga ki a teia. Pea whamalo whoki ulau maari le rei ma oe pe ai la koe while rei ma oe pe ai tamatui tau whahau tupo ono kau maa whoki ai tahine kuini nana spau tuku aho pea mo e whare o haa mo e ofo. Pea malo e lau maria hou eki mo e haa mata pule pea mo e kahinga tonga kotoa pe o kumo mea mai i he kolope ke whamawhola rea i he televisione mo e retio whakataha uko atu ia pea me he BYU Provo mini substation ko ia ai paenga o i wāke tariwhalau. Pea whamalo ka teki mo tolu o kumo kau mau ai pe ki he Ngahi polo kalama, ai pae ngai wā ke tariwhalau, tau te whito ki he polo kalama lofa talamatangi, i he whiawhini, tau tailerea ki mōtolu mō mea mai pia mi Iulope, tau te whito ka teki mōtolu i Flanse, i Itali, Austria, mō Sweteni, mō ngai whanua kehe o Iulope. Tau tari whiawhia ki mōtolu, me ngai whanua ko i Asia, mōtolu mō mea mai ki he polo kalamani, mo ngai polo kalama kehe ai paenga o i wā ke tariwhalau, pia mi Siaina, kau maa whakia ki mōtolu mo mea mai pia mi Hong Kong, Taiwan, Malaysia, Singapore, kau maa whaki ai kainga tonga o ku mea mai pia mi he The Land of the Rising Sun, Asia Pan. Whamalo ke teki mōtolu mo kau mai pia mi Hokkaido, Honshu, Shikoku, Kyushu. Tau te whitka teki mōtolu o ku mō mea mai pia me he prefecture ko ia o Fukuoka. O whalahi ka teki mōtolu pia malo e tukutaimi ka mō mea mai ki he polokalama koe ni pia me he paenga o wā ke tariwhalau. Tai tari whiawhia mawai pia ki mōtolu o ku mō mea mai me he whanua i kare me he ngahi state ko ia e Nimanoa pia kau maa whuki ngahi territorio o Amerika lahi. Whamalo ka teki mōtolu mō kau mai pia me The Land Down Under, pia me Australia, kau maa whuki The Land of the Long White Clouds, Aotearoa, pia awhalahi ki mō ngai whawhonga, pia malo e tuktaimi ka mō mea mai ki he polokalama lofa talamatangi i he purelulu kotoa pe kau maa whuki ai hefyawhi whakakoloa koe ni. Tai tari whiawhia ki mōtolu o ku mō mea mai mi taunga eiki. Malo e ngawe lahi pia mi hena pia whakatawange o ku lerei ai mea katoa pe iho mō ngahi api. Pia hene pehe o ku tau whamalo lahi mau ai pe ai tau wausia ai aho whakakoloa koe ni. Tumo a ke taitale rea ki mōtolu e siari iongi i he whiawhi whakakoloa koe ni. Pia ka heiri koe apa tau whoki mai o hokatu e tau polokalama. O wana angalo, ho eki mo haa mata pūne, o ku mau, kore mao ai pe ka teki mōtolu ke mō eki pe ka mō share e tau polokalama, ke lahi taha ko ia te ke lava. Pea koe uhi ke kau mai haa whahinga ku wholoa si e nau, ma wahe me tau polokalama, pe ko whahinga u te kei ke nau kau mai ki tau polokalama. Koe ai, tai tari whiawhia ki mōtolu, pea tuka sari yonke ne taitare rea ki mōtolu pa tau whoki mai ki he polokalama. Malo.
In Tonga they say, malo lele. In Fiji they say, pura vinaka. In Samoa they say, talo falava. In New Zealand they say, ki ora oe. In Hawaii they say, aloha oe. But in America, a happy, happy, happy day. Fiafia, fiafia, fiafia maupe. In Tonga they say, malo lele. In Fiji they say, pura vinaka. In Samoa they say, talo falava. In New Zealand they say, ki ora oe. In Hawaii they say, aloha oe. But in America, the happy, happy day. Fiafia, fiafia, fiafia maupe. Awe, awe, te vai na Tahiti. Whakalametara oe, alomi lomi e. Awe, awe, te vai na Tahiti. Whakalametara oe, alomi lomi e. Tahiti nuru ia te whare aue, taua erea. Mama, ia te uri aue, pea te urua. Aue, aue, aue oie. Aue la oi au, mama e. Aue la oi au, mama
Whamalo pito e ho eki mo e haamata pure mo tukutaimi ka mo mea mai ki he pahenga e wake tari whalau. Pea I he awhia whini ko au awhapalu te o whahoka atu ai poloklama. O e ahoko ni ko e ahoni foki na e tonu ki whahoka tai e poloklama huelo kola o e funga mana mo ui. Pea mo toketa Williami waka uta kakala ka e ane awhi ku kore mai toki tā ke matoki poloklama atu I he pure lulu hono tolu o sune. Whawhi ki mō tolu ke mō tuku mai ho mō ngai whehu I. Koe taha o he taumu au whenga e toki tā ke whamahinu ka tau tolu I he wiki hono tolu. Koe kauti. Pea o tau wanga maheni ho e ki mui haamata pure. Koe kauti o ku... Ki mō tolu ko ia o ku mao, ko e taha whoki o e kauti, ko e taha ia o e ngahi u mahaki whakasino a ia o ku nau kulupu katoa atu pē o I lalo I he whakamalu ko ia o e whahinga mahaki whakasino o kui ko ia ko e arthritis. Pea o ku tawanga maheni he to'o ai whanki fo I kau ko ia o kui ko e allopurinol. Pea o pehe e toke tā Williami waka uta kakala ko e mea tene wahe pea mo ki tau tolu I he wiki hono tolu o ku le reiangi pea saiangi ai whahinga whaito o ia koe ni tene hanga o wahe ki he kauti I he allopurinol. Mana tui whoki ho eki pea mo e haamata pure ko e allopurinol o ku lahi au pito ahano ngahi u side effects. Pe koe ngahi mea o ku toe mau I he neongo pe o ku le rei ai tokoni mai ko ia ai allopurinol. Pea koe allopurinol o ku nehanga e ia o taofi ai enzyme o ku lahi ai ene ngāwe I he taimi ko ia o I kauti ai ia kui ko xanthine oxidase. Pea koe taimi koe o kulahi ai ngāua ai enzyme koe ni. Pea whakatuputupulangi rewa ai langa, fufula, mo ngahi mea kotoka pe o whikau aki pea mo e taha ko ia o arthritis. Ai ia o tawanga maheni ki ai koe kauti. Pea ko look forward ki he pure lulu ko ia hono tolu, ai e toki whakaukata e programa huelo kola e whunga mana mo ui, toki tā Williami waka uta kakala, e I heni ke ne wahe atu ai ngahi mea katoa pe whakau aki pea mo I kauti, pea mo e whaito o ko ia o ku le reiangi ia I he allopurinol. Mo whakatonga ia ho eki mo I haamata pure. Whakatonga I pea tohi atu I ho mo ngahi tohi mahina, ke mō mea mai I he wiki hono tolu I he ulaki haua hono ki he whitu. Pea I hene pehe ho eki mo I haamata pure, o ku teu ma o pe ai ngahi mea lahi ke lava o wahe pea mo ki mō tolu ko hi ko lahi ai ngahi whehu I. Pea koe taha ne ngahi whehu I ko e o ku e wiki katoa pe o kai ma o pe whehu e ua tolu, pe o ku whahe taimeni ihi. O whikau aki mo e mea ko loto ke wahe pea mo ki mō tolu. Mo manatu I ko e taumu alalahi o e programa lofa talamatangi ko e aia o ku iai ai programa lofa talamasani, aia ko wike ua, pea mo wike wha aia, pure lulu ua pea mo e wha, o ku heni mereseni upalau piu tau, ma tala noa ki he mo wahe, ai ngai whakatotolo whakasai nisi, o kua osi whakapapau, pea mo pulusi. I he ngahi u scientific journals a Amerikani pea mo mamani lahi. Aia ko lofa talamasani e utala ai masani o e nonu, o ono aho ko e nuku hiwa ia o ono poni. Pea ko e whiga telefoni, ono walua, nima ono wha, fitu noa, noa taha. Pea I he hoa no ua o wike ua, pea mo wike wha, kau mai ai Dr. King Langi, taluene ma polokahama mi he wafe tahanima, ko e taueni hono ono, whikau aki mono vahe o ngai mea whikau aki pea mo ui le rei, pia me ne tafaaki whatoketa, pia me he tafaaki ko ia. Mo whatonga I koe, ko Dr. Williami waka utakakala, kono ai mahi no koe specialist ia I he mahaki whakasino ko tawa pegu alu pia me he waste ki he vae. Aia o kuiai ai suka, kauti, moe hāfua o kuiai. Koe specialist o ku ngawe aki, koe tangata koni ngawe lahi heni Utani, o ku ho mau feituu, Utah County, Mahalo Miniti e taunoa pe whanima me Salt Lake, o lere ai pe o au ki he poda koia a Utah, peamo Arizona. He ku Utah, Kolosia te poda Arizona, pa ke Kolosia I pe ki Nevada, pea me Nevada ki California. Koe mahu inga ia o e tokitā koe ni, ai na I he koristonga, ka mafoki e ako maolunga ko ia o ria hona, pea koe specialist ne o ku ngawe lahi aki he kaupalangi, pea moe o kuima pe koe IHC, ai ko in the mountain health care, koe kau ia I he ngai health care la lahi o e Western United States. Pea ku look forward te tangata ke te whoki atu ki tonga o whai e ngawe ofa. Na nau lere atu ki tonga whai e ngawe ofa ki he wawhetahaiwa, wawhetahawalung. Pea koe taimi e toki awa e poda, a ia ku mahino mai rewa koe poda, ko ia e toki awa ki maasi e tau fo ko tui e whai ai ngai ngawe lahi ki hen. Kai ke, ho eki mo e haa mata apure ko loto ke e wahe tu ai mea kulahi taha hono whehui, pea ko tui koe fua taimi ni o ku tuku ai hulu atu koe ni ke māmangia he uhide te lava peo I loi ai ngahi u mooni koe ni apply kia whainga whei tuu pe o ku ke mea mei ai. Koe aho ni koe aho maarie whai ai whataha I Salt Lake, pea koe tua I pe ne tuku hoki tua. O lere mai, pea hao mai ka ke mau he taimu, ke taini miu, o kume mei ofi a Utah ia I LA. Pea wai taimia ni ihi, o ku waweange ka te lue kita I he lere mea lere. Ka ko hi ko turi mai pe, ko ia ko e whaifatongia, ko e whaifatongia maama ki mautolu. Pea ko ia I o whaima o paime, ai kore kia te ki mautolu, ki muanga ofa, pea mou eiki pe ka share e polo kalama. Kaige? Whamalo ki a Honorable Mary Melela tu taulahi, ko e polisi fokia o e pāinga o e wāke tari whalau, pea ko e taha ia kau tare kita o e pāinga o e wāke tari whalau. Hono rehi, pea mono toka ngai o e pāinga, ko hiu whehu lufi ai no fo mo e whanongo. Pea ko kore pe ho eki mo e haamata apure ki u hufanga at mua I he talamalu e whonua, I ka ia ko ia pe kau hufanga atu I he ngahi talawha apa ko toa pe ko os whai atu mi he pāinga I wāke tari whalau, talu mi aneuhu o a o mai ki he hefia fini. Pea ko ia e whamalo mao e pe ke te nau tauna nau whahoko proklama aneuhu, whamalo atu ki a ke pure lahi se o ne tola o makahiri kau mafo ki a Emeritof makahiri ai a koe production manager ia e wāke tari whalau, hono whataki mai ai whatongia, James Bond po me e koe tahaia kau tare kita, whahoko proklama mai mi he substation ko ia oku iloa, pea ui whakatene koe VTF Hollywoodi, ai au whai proklama mai mi ai a Semis, hono hoa, rinsi po me e kauma afoki ai whanau, ta po me e sisters. Pea ko e whiga telefoni ko ia o rinsi ki he lolo kakala te au, ko ki mutolu ko ia o ku mu text mai, pea whehu I mai, ko e whika, ko e fitu ono noa, ono, walu ono, noa ua. Fitu ono noa, ono walu ono, noa ua. Pea I he efia fini, lere atu I hoa e tolu ko inde tau wheao, pea moau mo ki nau tau te mau, whahoko atu e proklama efia fini, Pea ka hiri ai polokalama live ko ia o e paenga e wā ke talifolau. Pea me he substation ko ni, e whoki lewa ai polokalama ki he main substation ko ia ai paenga e wā ke talifolau. Aia e whai polokalama mai mea ai a Sontolau Makahiri, Emily Tofu Makahiri moha ni ihi kehe te nau lama o whakahoko atu, anga hei polokalama le rei ma aki mautolu. Pea ka hiri ia, whoki atu lewa ai live, polokalama ko ia ai paenga e wā ke talifolau. Ki he substation ko ia oku iloa ko e VTF Honolulu, oku iai a Siwakiri vai, kauma ai hoa fusiri vai, moha ni ihi kehe te nau whai polokalama pea mi ai. Pea hangei ko e kulawa ki mua, ho e ki mui haamata pule, e waweni mai pe ai aho. Ko e osi ko ia, ai polokalama live ko ia pea mei Honolulu. Ai ku osi mako pe ia he taimi ua, pongi ko ia a Utah. Ai ko e taha ia a California, ai ko e taha ia a Hawaii. Pea e whokirewa ai polokalama ki he substation ko ia i nuku alofa tonga. Pea whai polokalama te mi ai substation i nuku alofa tonga, pea whoki mai rewa ki he lot pongpongi. Ai ko e lava ia ai hoa ua wha ai whakahoko polokalama live, ai paenga o e wā ke talifolau, ma aki mautolu. Pea ko e anga ia tuu ke kahau mo e takai ai ngahi polokalama live, pea me paenga o e wā ke talifolau. Ko e hono le rei kia te koe ho e ki mo e haamata pule e lava tu waki ai ho ngahi pisinisi, ho o koloa, pe koe whahinga, me a peo ke whima o ke whahoko live atu ia i he paenga, pea mo e platform ko ia ai wā ke talifolau, aia o ku iai ai platform ma kehe, o kui ko e VTF Pacifica, me mi whakahoko ia i he rea whakapapālangi, puka rea whakapilitania. Pea i hene pehe ho eki pea mo e haamata pule, ko e tumo ke tuku ata onki whanongononga ua ma tau toki whanonga tau fo i whasi, pa tau whoki mai ke vahe. O ana ke alumi he polokalaman, he goe mea te vahe o ku ahonga au pito, ke tek tau tolu. Kai ke ngata pei Amerikani ka ko whepe ai whanua au ku ke whaka paea pea mi ai e ahonga ia ke te koe.
Nukuhiwa. I kai, koe vai nonu ia e tau whangakui, o katoa ia ono aho mono pōni, pia whakasai nisa ahono ngā hui, he e kuinu ngofua ahono anga, pia taha awhe nimangi au ahono mamana, seuke, pia toi whakaatu i whoki mohono kakala. He kohono ao ngā ko tāki tahi, pia tāki uta, no ngā ia suka, ngā koe toto, mo toto maolunga, saigi ai arthritis, kauti, pia moe kahi. Pia whakatau pasi ai ai mafte fua, ata mai, moe iwi lahi. Tai whanaafi ai mo uilelei he kohono tawi ia. He koe nonu, nai tori ia me Hawaii, Tahiti, Haamoa, pia mo Tonga, pia kuone mawhola i Europe, Asia, pia mo Amerika lahi. Koe nukuhiwa ia pia mohono ngahi ao ngā, ka rewa, ke otaha o nukuhiwa, ki he ono valua, ni ma ono wha, fitu nono ataha. Ono valua, ni ma ono wha, fitu nono ataha.
Akau ko hota whanua, whakatapui, koe motu o tonga. Sete ae lolo, kakalatea, ene manongi, whakataru taru,
He, ko iai halolo ia ko ngahui pea vilohi, pea mix mei parataisi. Ke whakatauri a ngahi whakaamu whakasino mo ata mai. Ke mili pea ke whakasanisani mo masani mo whakamanifi. Pea ke foto aki ia ke hakatoa ngā aholahi. Pea ke toki ilo ai e mamani, ko e loloni ia, ko e tāpua ki mei langi. O ua, he.
Teke ae lolo, kakalatea, ene manongi, whakataru-taru, o kai fiafi, pea ne ngangatu, ene tō o ngaki a koe moau.
E ho e ki pēr mo e hamata pure, whiwhia ke taitailerea ki mulu ki he paenga o e wā ke tariwhalau, i he aho whakakoloa koni, ko au awhapaulu whahoko atu a e proklama lofa talamatangi, pēr mi he BYU Provo mini substation a e paenga o e wā ke tariwhalau. Whamalo kui heni a Esther Taylor Maile, ko e tahafokia o e kau whaiwhataungia, pēr mi he substation koe ni, ai proklama mo wanga maheni ki ai I he wike wha kotoa pe, pure lulu wike wha, hoa whaka osi ai a koe walu ki he hiwa e whiawhia o Utah, ai a koe fitu ki he walu ia o California. Pea stream live mai me ai a Esther Taylor Maile, ka mawhoki ai hoa. Hiki fo o mairi I he proklama ko ia ko e tākanga e nau fohe. Tai tari whiawhia ki mōtolu e ho iki mo i haamata pure pea ko tui ko ki tau tolu ko toa pēna tau tupu haki tonga, tau wanga maheni ko e aho sāpate ko e aho kailerei. Pea, ni manatu e au na ea ngai taimi au, kai ke loko kailerei lotonga e wike, kai koe kailerei whai maupe i he sāpate. Pea, iai whukimutu e taime ni, te nofpi tā tāri ke mea kai koe o ko mai me kau ngā api, he uku wifo make he nau mea kai. Ka koe mea ko manatu ki hai, i he taimi ko ia o hoko ai ai mōni te, ka pauna i kai tuku aisi a e te mea kai, pa koe toinga mea kai, ko ka mata rewa ki te sio o ku hange o ka mata ke piki piki, a e talo, pe koe mei, pea o kusai e kape i niwa whaou, e kuwha ta o kape koe i niwa whaou, o ku kehe moe ta o kape koe ngai whei tu kehe na wanga maheni ki ai. Pauma be ke tere ai kape, o skoea pe tongi tongi o toki tao. I he kulere atu koe ia ki niwa whaou, ne talamai e tangata iki, ofa putu tau, pea kua si i mālolo e tangata iki koe ni. Tuku atua ofa ki he fofonga o e tangata, ofa e teki mautolu ka kau whaiwhi kau. Kau maafa ki hano hoa, tai a moni putu tau, o tui o kunau i heni i so reiki i he tainimi. Oku i kai ke tere ai kape, oku tofi tofi pe ai kape, o ta o pempea mohono kiri. Kau ia he fo i ilo fo ou, ho eiki mai haa mta pure, fua sa pate pe i niwa fo ou. Peo whakakau kau atu, e fifisi ai kape koe ni, he koe mea ko wanga ki ai ho mau api, koe api tau kape o mau tolu. Kape hina, pea ka asia fo i fo henga, pe koe hange koe lau kau haa mua, koe taa mu, kau ia he ne tohoaki ai te tokanga, he to i whangi e kape koe ia. Kaike, pea i he taimigana e fuke ai ai o mu, pe toki mahino ki a te au. Mai tu i whoku paku ai ongo tawha aki, moho le rei pea koe te to'o mai pe, koe pe hono mea o ku ngahi pea mi he whau, hangi ha here, pea au te lava pe o, mwe i whakatalo ka te sio ki he hau, pea namu kakala ai kape. Kage toi ngālo e te au ai whahinga tau kape ko ia, pea mi he taaki moe aka, ki mautolu ko ia pea mi he taaki moe aka, marau o wailahi, kau ia he whanua moho tāpu i kina. Pea wai taime nihi ko whanon ke rea e mātua, vai, kau tau reka, li pe koe ke kere ka e mo uia, pea niwa fo'o. Kaike, koe, nanga maheni ke au uhina kai ke ha mau aisi, pauma o pe ke whenga i ke aonga mea kai, pea o ka pau e toe mea kai whaka ose moni te ria na a kovi. Koe, whehu i rewa hau eiki moe hama tāpune. Koe hānai ho o whaka i longa ki he time go ke teke pehe kua kovi ai la i lū ke toi ngāo e aki ke halu sipi pe ko halu pulu pe ko haki i lū wika pe ko haki i lū fingota. Ki mō tolu koe nā mehe otkene kina moe makahau walu. Koe hā ho o whakakau ki ai. Ka pau te ke sio ki ha fu whakatu unga lū, pe ko ha tangai lū, te ke pehe, koe lū koe niu ka ke totonu ke toi ngāwe aki, pe i kai. Koe ha e whai ngā mea o ku ke lava o tālau ke pehe, koe lū koe niu ka ke sai. Ko mana tu e au i he mawako ko ia i he funga mana mo ui. O ai ngā hila i lū e ni hi ku te o siatu ki tau wenge inga ia. Ka oku kei kau pe ia i hono haka. Whewhe koe whehu i ia. Ka pau waha o whakakau, ke wahe mai, a tā pe ke tā mai ki he wal noa taha tautaha noa wha noa, pe koe messenger, hau aki mai ka pau kai ki ke mea i he whanua o ikare, te ka lawa pe o komi ai awhapalu, pa ke tuku maha o whakaukau. He ko tawanga maheni ma upe he fusi pe ai lū, i he tōna ki, ngāwe aki rewa i he sāpate. Pe wai taimi ni fulahi koe ala i lū toi, tuati ke monite, tūsite, pule lulu, toki ngawe aki he pule lulu, ko osi iai hono whahinga lanu ia ona. O mahu inga ke te ilo i piko whētaimi ko ia o ku kai ki tonu ke te ngawe aki ai e lai lu. Pau ka ha o whia mea au ke vahe mai ai, pa ke vahe mai. Kai hoko atu a e polo kāma, pia pau te ke tā mai o tuk mai ho whakaukau. Koe anga ia o e lai lu, koe mea maheni koe na uanga koe i ho mau api. Koe taimi ko o mai ai pia mingi au pito e lai lu. O ku whaakau pe ia i he ngawe aki ka pau koe lu i haki me i sipi he pule lulu. Pia toi tui whio mai pia mo ki lai pere ki ai. Nau whakatongai mau pena i kai ke mau i e lai lu. Pia neonga beu te o sia i whitau ku e ngenga ke ia. O ku ki ngawe aki pe e lai lu ia. Ka kowhe ai taimi. Waina ha taimi, pe uksai pe ia ke ngawe ka pau o ku lanu i ngenga pe lanu hina. Ko e mani oke. I he wahe koe ni e lawa pe ke toe ake aha o manatu, ki he taimi ko ia na ake i tonga ai pe a moho whaamiri hono ngawe aki. Ko e anga ko ia hono taake mani oke u tawanga maheni ke au. Totonu ke taake mau pe ke o e la vea. O koe hano uhinga. Kai ke koe uhinga whakasai ni sia he ula he taime nihu alu ai ngai u bacteria i he kere ki ai. Ka ke mana tu i whoki o totonu mau pe ke te haka mau pe e mani o ki ke moho au pito. Pe koe tao ke moho au pito, pe koe tama o ai hao mani o ke tama u totonu ki ai ke moho. Koe mea na au kuanga i ho mau api, koe keri mau pe fo i luo tapa wha. Pea na ai mau pe o whariki aki ai lau fusi, pea tuku ki ai ko wha amai mau pe tangai manioke pea mei uta. O tuku wharerei ki ai, pea ai rewa u tangai hange pe ia ai kono tao koe oi umu, o ai ki ai pea ringi vai mau pe he aho kotoa pe uhike hau mau pe ai manioke. Pea ukulawa pe o whaatolonga pe manioke ia me he tonaki, lere pe o au ki he sāpate. Ngai taimi lahi. Kai ke toe lanu uri ai manioke, he koe taimi au ku kowe ai manioke. Koe ngai whakau en ho eki mo e haamata pure koe uhi ke tuku mai e tau whakau ke whainga mea na tau wanga maheni ki ai i tonga, pea koe wai ai mea fo o he taini. Koe iga pau wai ha o vahe, pea ke tā mai he wau noa taha tau tā noa whānoa noa ka pau ke Amerika, pea ko ki mutolu i ngai whunua ke he, ngau e aki mai ai messenger, tuku at ho whakaukau he ea, ko hi ke vahe. Kaike, koe hanga eni o e me au tawanga maheni ki ai i he tainimi, pea koe mea whakteknolosia eni o e kuongani pea o ku whakawhiawhia, o hi e toi ki tolonga ange ai mea tokoni. Pe koe haa bea e whainga mea ku ke ngawe aki. Pea koe anga koe ia o tuku o ngai mea peheni, wai taimi lahi, ngalo ia te kita ta koe ko o sene mahina taha ai tuku ai ki i toi ngakai goni he pereti. Pe koe taimi koe ia o ku ke mea toi o to'o mai ki pereti ke whakawhana i o microwave, pe koe toi tao he ovani, kamata ke fulufulua ai mea tokoni koe ni. Koe hau iki mo e haamata pure. Neongo pe u tau haka e tau tolo mea tokoni, pea tau mau mea tokoni me iai, ka oku iai pe ai taimilahi o ke mo ui pe ai ngai bacteria i he mea tokoni. O kai ke free ai mea tokoni me he bacteria. Pero taim pe koe o ku hau ai temperature pe kua whainga condition pa nau toi mo ui hake nau tolo. Kono uhi ngaia o ku whaafulufulu ai, kore peki hufanga i whakatapu, ai mea tokoni, pea kamata rewa ki awe ia o laku. Kono ua, o kia e ngai mea tokoni wai mau pe ai taimi o ku osi ai. Pea ko loto ke tuku kia e tau whakakaukau, i he kuongani, he koe mea mahu inga au pitoeni, talu pea mi he whakatu mai koia ai COVID-19, me tau fo ai e tokanga lahi ai whakamamani lahi ki he mea whatongia pia moe mea wahe pia tautau te whito ki Amerikan. Sai, koe taumu aia ko whaamu ke whai ke ai wahe I he rea whakatonga, he koe taumu a mahu inga eni, pia oku mahu inga ke meai, koe uhi, ko koe uki hanga tonga I ai mātua, pia koe whanau koe uku lalahi, ai mahu inga o mea tokoni. O kuanga whewhe e tauhanga o mahi noi, ai ngahi u label ko ia o ku ai ko ia I ngahi products. Pea koe tau kamata ni tu o taha mahina te tau tānoa ke mahu inga, ke tau hang ke mou meai ai ngahi lao whikau aki pea moe labels. Uhi koe tahaini o ngahi mea ke tau unat ke ai whakamamani lahi ke tau ke mou meai ai ngahi mea whakahako moe lao o whikau aki pea moe labels. Hangi ko ia o kuki Asia te heniu, tamai ke ngawe aki use by aho aia koe mahinaen. Mantu I whau kehe anga tau ri ko ia I tonga. Wai taimi lahi tau kamata ki aho pia mahina pia tau. I Amerikani o tau kamata ke mahina aho pia tau. Ta tau e pe ke huakau, wanga maheni ai whahinga tokolahi, ki he ngau ako ia oi huakau. Pea o kuai ai ngahi mea kehe o kwhikau aki moia, loto ke whai ki ai wahe I he whiawhini. Hangi ko ia o ku mou mea ki ai, gong mou tolu ko ia o mou whaafratau, ai ngahi u products ko toa pe, ko whakawhe I koe hou eiki moe haamata pūre, to mua sio, koe wahe atu koe ni ai ilo koe ni kia te koe, to mua sio ma upe ki ngahi whakaino hino koe ni, pe te ke lava rewa o mea I koe product eni utotoni ke whakatau, ma mea toko ni ke ai e ko whanau, mo whakamogopuna, pe koe hoa I api kau maafo ki ho ongo mātua. Koe taimi ko ia o kui ai e kau tau reka tau matu aki to kanga au pito, ke ngai mea tokoni o tau ngawe aki, ke ngawe aki ngai mea tokoni lerei. Ka saipe ke uwahe atu heni, he koe tau eni e tolu noa aki eni I he tauni, whiao pia mo ngai mea koni, koe product kotoa pe kuo pau ke iai hono label. Pero pau lewa o ke whakatau ha product ki ukai kia hono label, o ku ke mau I ai lao e whonuani mo ngai whonua ke. Mahalo ko tonga pe ngofua e whakatau e product ta e label. Kai ke ngofua e maman lahi. Aia koe ka lot number uloa kia e tausi. Taimi koe mo mea tu e ki he ni, pa koe whika koe, o kai koe uhinga ia koe lahi en koe o e products ko osi na kamata me he lot uloa ki o a o e peke he lot miliona pe koe whepe whainga whika. Koe whika katoa pe I he lot number o me generate ia I he programa wha computer o ku randomly assign e whainga whika. Pea kua I pe e taimini ki te hanga wha programa ke kamata ma o ke pe e whika, pea osi aki e whoi whika. Ka koe lot number koe ni, koe ua tā whitu, tahi wanoa tau taha. Ka ai pe ha whainga palo parema whikau aki mo e product koe ni, ko paurewa, ko mautolo ko ia o ngāo he industry, ko paurewa ki lava pe ko o foki ki he lot number koe ni, o sio ki hanga o e hau a ngahi u ingredients, pe mi he whonua whe, pe koe kolo whe, pe koe kautaha whe, pe ko whe aho koe na e whau katoa ai mea I he whainga products koe ni, pe te ke ilo e ngahi uni mea ko toa pe whakaiki whikau aki mo e product koe ni. Aia koe mea uraki au tatoni ke mea mau pe a lot number, pe o paurewa te ke whakatau ha product ko o se expire ia. Koe ngahi u information ko o kwhie mau ko eni. Aia te klawe pe ko ia o aiho ki telefoni, tohano ki lai ata, pe seni whakataha mo emaili. Kai tupe mua ke uhoko atu koe, o kuiai e mea koe best if used by. Aia kono ai whakatonga ererei ka pau te ke ngawe aki eni e foi aho koe ni. Ai uhangi koe ni. Aho siulai ulaki wanoa wataha. Tau pehe pe koe mei o ku tau ua ma o pe ai products ko toa pe. Koe lahi taha ia o ku whi tau e ua. Kai ke au kia i koe mai au kai ke au ia tau e ua. O ku mahina pe ia e taha. Mahina e ua e taimeni. Ka koe no uhinga en. Aia koe lot number e. Te lava reference here. Best if used by. Ka whirea mahau inga au pito eni. E re re yanga pau te ke ngawe aki ai product koe ni. I he aho koe ni. Aia koe aloha ke poa o siulai aho ulaki koe wafe ua taha. Aia ko sunen siulai pe i he mahina kahau. Ko nea o pe ke siulai aho ulaki. O ku taramai rewa he kautaha koe ni. He unau so oswhai ai ngahi ngawe le rei keni. E sayanga pau te ke ngawe aki eni. O au pe ki he aho ko ia o ku osi ai. Ai koe siulai ulaki wanoa wataha. Pea i he lao ko ia o e whonuani whakawheho naki ke ngai tutuuni ai FDA o kai ke ngofua ke sell ai product ko ia o ku out of date pe ku expired. Pea o ka paureo ke sell ai product ia o ku le rei pe ia neonga o ku expire. Po paurewa ke hanga o ai a sticker ma kehe he o tala ko o expire ka o ku keisai pe ai product. Pehe kua paurewa ke nau atu a big discount. Hei kai ke pehe ke discount. Hangi koe mea o tawanga maheni ki ai tonga. Koe fu whakamaa maha toho. Ai a tu i fu i se ni pe taha whakamaa maa aki. Ka o ku mahu inga ni he uku ai a fu i rea ia taha o ku kehe ia mi hen. Ofa be o ku mahino kapa o ku ai ha o wheui. Pea ke kātaki o alamatu atonga malo au pito ai kaumai. Pea alakeita mano pangai, malo ai kaumai mo e poupou o whaatu ki a tekmo. Pea koi ai e hou eki mo e haamtāpure. Kai hoko atu ke mo mea pe ki he anga koi a o e mean. Mo whātau ngā i koe ngahi mea kai eni o ku mau. Pe setia e tolutaha hono whakafuafua i koi a o e mau o e mea tokoni. Me ngahi mea kai ko ia o ku i he ngai whare koloa lalahi retail. O ku whiunga ai pese te tau taha koe ne ngahi mea kai mau. Whakafuafua ke paanga e te au tolu piriona. I he wāwhi hongo fulu. Koe whika eni me wāwhi hongo fulu. Pe au toi koviange ai tauni. Ho eke moe amata pūre. Koe ne kamata eni e ne kakahake me wāwhi hongo fulu. Pea toi koviange e tauni. Lahi au pito ai mau e ngai mea tokoni. Koe uhinga lahi pe he uku lahi kakai unau whakatau e ngai u products ia pea ku ose expire. Pea ku nahangarem na tō laku ki he wewe. Mō manatu i ai a whāko ia taiwa walua ai sake. Na e iai ai koloa a mōrisi. Ka ua e ngahi kapa pulu kapa i kana ke kia ha kaunga taha ai a awha kana e tuunia ke awe o laku. Pea koe mea maari e na awe e ngai koloa ko ni o Hawaii ki makeke ki he tahi. Kai ke si mea i he whahinga na nau whai e tuuni koe ni koe taha ia ngahi u mea o kai ki ngofua. He ko no atu koe ngahi unge eskapa mo ngahi u mea pehe ki he tahi. Kai he e umea pea whoki mai rewa o kai he e i ka. Tai whoki mai peia ke tangata. Pea kulahi rewa a ngahi u food poisoning. Ngahi mea pehe. Kai ke. Koe nau pehe he e FDA ko ia Amerika. Koe taha o ngahi u whektoa o kune hankau i hono i he paanga ko ia e te au tolu piriona ko ia i he wāwhi hongo fulu a mau i ko ia o he ngahi mea tokoni. Koe uhi koe label. Tawalahi kakai u kake nau mahunga i pe nau mahino i a label. Ho eiki mo hamada pone. O kai koha mea nienge pehepe koe kautonga o kake nau ilo. toi koviangi kau pālangi ia. Ka oku kauai ai matakari ke heke ko toa pē. Pea nau whakatonga I rewa, oku iai ai paloparema, pea whihi tuu ai whakaukau ai whewhine mo tangata, pea me ngahi sektoa ko toa pē, oe ngahi u matakari, ai pālangi, ai Tonga, Pasifiki, kau kia kau uri uri, India kula, Sia, pea mo ngahi wheitu uke heke. Pea ufuu mahu inga au pitoni. Aia koe nau whato ngai, koe palo pare mahe koe ai mea tolu, pea uku ua, oku whihitu ai whakaukau ai kakai, aia koe sell by, o a use by, o a best by. Oke kehe, ai fo I mea lalahi tolu koe ni o ngawe aki ki he label. Sell by, pe o atlewa notate, use by, pe wai mo notate, o a best by, pe wai mo notate. Pe koe hanai ai uhinga o hingahi u mea lalahi tolu koe ni. Pe a loto ke wahe atueni ko tui, o ku aonga lahi eni, kia teki mo tolu, mo ki tau tolu, ngai whanua ko tau pe o mo mea ai. Pe a ko hi koe tau taimi, ko e mea ni o ku mahu inga au pito kia te au he whakakau kau. Uhi he na ulere atu ki Tonga I he wafe hongo fulu ho eki mo e haa matapure. Pea ko e mea koe o ku maari e koe kia te au. Ko ulere atu ki haa moko whakatau e kufo I maavela ai mo konga pata mo e askirimi. Pea to o mai mo e kufo hina re mani pa malue lue atu pea mo e kupure. Ki heki I lalo mango o tangu toe o whae makai. Ko tanga whainga kai eni na wanga maheni ki ai. Pea ko ai koe ke whahawa e mafo I hina mori. Man tui whako toki I lo ia I wafe ngofuru. Kai ke te whakatau I tau hina re mani o tau wanga maheni ki ai. Pea usho hifo au ia. Ko osi mahina e wha a expire ko ia o e fo hina ko ni. Ka koe whare o e motu a fisi o Maritonga. Ko whokia tu tange ko e product ko ni u expire ba ka ke totonu ke ngau e aki. Tala mai he motu a. I ka e o kei sai pe e o tange. Ko au ko hao en pe mi Amerika. Pe ko ilo I le rei ai ngahi u labels mai ngai mea ko ni. O si expire en. I kai a koia beka o kai te ke tala mai ke te au ka ke ha o stick ai ke tala mai wo se expire pa ke te hanga sa chao ke full price. Talo ai beka o fa more ai motu a beha o mai ai fo hina o kui kai expire. Maho inga au pitoni ho iki me ha mata pule. Kai ge ko hi ko e polokama hoko mai tukumu a ke tukata ki fo I whanongononga e ua ma tau fo I whasi pa tau hoko atu o tato ki whakaosi ai anga o he wahe ko ia o he ahoni.
Toko, kua kofi wa he kalhamu, kua ampe ia ke sapate.
Oh, o ngai hau family Amerika?
Iyo tokolahi au pite.
Tagi family ave fika vava runners ono ni manoa tau noa fit ni meni mata. Te nau lava tatongi Amerika. Te au pik e au I vava uni o tiliva ki homo api I vava uni.
Hawe malo au pito toko. Te tālewa kia mātolu he taimini.
Ko ia ai ka inga tonga I Amerika. Tā lewa ki vava runners ki he ono ni manoa tau noa fit ni meni mata. O totongi haki ikiki pe ko hao shopping pe ki he lolo ahalai walu ka maulele ki mautolu o tiliva ki o nau ngahi o whale. Heu pehe pe whatawhata maa whanaa ia. Vava runners, telefoni, ono ni manoa tau noa fit ni mata. Only in Vava.
palesi mo lolo francais ko tau pepe lolo me loto Hollywood seuke kai pe ko fo star at 5 ko te ke fai ka pakao angelo ko ko lo ya kau angelo ho ek mo kai ngatonga mamani ko tau pepe ko lo kau angelo pe mahino leva ko loloni ko to ngai me hina lolo ala pasita amele maktaline le fratolonga mai atu fia mo kakala iloa le furi me ot motuanga ofa ke guia e pako langa karisi ale hei lala moho koi kalos pani pe ai foki pe mo blue maria mo kalasi ke he maria he ko taimi ko te ke mairi ai oa pe tane ne ke fai e mere maktanine e foi alabasta ko ene fakatau ele fika telefoni fitu no noa hiva malu fa ta fitu pe ko tolu hiva valu fa noa hiva wa ko ia ta leva ke fika telefoni fitu ono noa hiva valu fa taha fitu pe koi tolu hiva valu fa noa hiva wa ko talatu o kusi e kuleaka aku amu atu he kohono manongi tene ave koi ke vava mo mahina pe te ke maali kana si ofetu u pe mo faka isa tau lolo ala pasita kiai
Malave, loto ia te kita, kaulanga, okuha, nesi
E ho e ki mo e hamata pūre o whiawhia ke taitai rea ki mutolu I he aho whakakoloa koe ni ki he proklama lofa talamatangi pia me he paenga o he wā ke tari whalau. Ko e proklama ni whahoko live atia pia me he piwa I Provo mini substation ko ia ai wā ke tari whalau. Pea I he whiawhi whakakoloa koe ni ho e ki mo e hamata pūre o kuyai ai hongo mawhana I hono taitai rei toke tā Ulysses, tonga o ne vai ki he paenga o wā ke tari whalau I he aho whakakoloani. Pea ko loto pe ke tuku atu haki pui pui tua. Ko e uhi, ko tui ko e aho eni o ku tai amene kina. Ko e anga e matuu pea mo e takoua ko e ni o kulahi a e ne kui, aia ko sione tonga o ne vai, pea si a e kukui, aia ko te vita to angutu. Ko e whae taha, kai tamai kehe kehe, pea mei he otu kine kina, ka maafoki a e makaho walu. Pea, ko e taimina e graduate ai e toko taha koe ni, na e whawhi mai a e whahu, a ana tonga o ne vai kia te au, pea o lere atu, o ku ngoi whamawhana, pea o ngoi he aho ko ia, na iai a e ma hongo kui, na iai o na whiawhia I ngāwe lama mea ku whai he tō taha koe ni. Pea o kōreang ke tō tahani, uhina ne whai ai rea maaria au pito I he taimi koe na ne whai ai vahe vahe. Pea te utupia ke te ia ke ne toki whahoko atu a mui ka kouloto ke taitari whiawhia koe e tokta tonga o ne mai, ki he paenga o wā ke tari whalau, pea ka pau ku ka pau ke whie maaria ke rea whakatonga, that's good. Pa pau ke rea whakapalangi pe, that's good too. Kai tuka te taimi ke rea whakawhiloaki mai ki he mātanga, ki he paenga o wā ke tari whalau, pea ka heri koe apa ta hoka toi pe e ta whepo tānoa aki, pea moe vahe vahe, malo. Tokta tonga o ne vai.
Yeah, thank you. I'll go ahead and go in English because I'm more fluent if I would speak in our homeland tongue. I'm not too well speaking it, but I'm very good at understanding. So to make sure that I'm fluent in the information that you would like me to share, Dr. Paulo, I'll go ahead and continue in English. I also want to thank you for this opportunity to allow me to have this dialogue with you, and also for the listeners here that are listening in at this time, that I hope that I'll have some information, some stories, whatever that it may be to brighten up, to add value to. I hope I can add value to what Dr. Paulo is doing with his work, and having me a guest, and for you folks listening. So I'm very grateful and humbled to have the opportunity to be in this seat, and I'm ready for whatever the conversation goes. But I guess a little bit about myself, as Dr. Paulo has briefly introduced, not only about who I am and about how we're connected. I'm very grateful that we were able to actually make that connection when we met, when I was celebrating my completion of my doctorate degree. Not only was it awesome to make that connection, but the understanding for me, for Tongans or us Polynesians, is once we make that connection, not just who we are, but through genealogy, there's a deeper meaning to relations. So I was very grateful for Dr. Paulo for making that connection, and for my auntie Anna for bridging that gap for me. But my full name is Ulysses Sione Tawanevai. I grew up here in the Salt Lake area, mainly West Valley City. I also moved back and forth to Southern California, mainly in Ontario. I know growing up it was known as, call that area Pomona or San Bernardino area. So it's a little bit about my upbringing, a little bit about my education. I started out going to school through playing sports. and then got my junior college education in Southern California, and then came up to Salt Lake City, Utah, and attended the University of Utah, where I finished my undergrad, also my master's, and then the master's led into my doctorate degree, all at the University of Utah. As a profession, right now, I currently work in higher education at the University of Utah. I do work in administration, mainly in the Office of the Dean of Students. I also part-time teach in the Ethnic Studies Department, and I do a little bit of research around athletics. So that's a little bit about my role. But one thing that's attached to all those roles right now with me in working in a college system is always looking out and helping our Pacific Islander students, both those who are trying to pursue college education and those who are in college. How can we help them complete and make meaning of their college experience that transition into a career, so they can survive out here in the world as adults, but also at the same time giving back and helping out the bigger family. But again, thank you. That's a little bit about me, Dr. Paulo.
Okay, appreciate that. But there's a couple of things that I would like for you to share. I'd like for you to share who your father is and your mother, also your wives. Okay, it's very important, and your in-laws, because I think they also play a big part in your success. We all know that you and I, we owe our success to God, our parents, our grandparents, ancestors, but also to our wives and their families.
Yes, sir. I agree. So with me, my parents, my father's name is Juan Folau Moetao Tomenevai, and he was from Uiha. And he passed when I was really young, when I was about 2 or 3 years old. So a lot of, when I talked about my auntie Anna connecting me to you, Dr. Palu, a lot of that connection is coming now in my adulthood, while I'm learning who a lot of my father's family are. And so that's why it not only was important to bridge that gap in meeting you, but also understanding who you are to me and how you directly tied to me through my father. So that's my father. My mother, her name is, and she's still here with us. Her name is Lowena Tautioli, and she's from Hateho, Tonga. And my wife, you're right. A lot of what I'm successful at in my current life is owed to my beautiful wife and children. And so my wife's name is Kalolaine Ika, and her father is Yone Talia Uli Ika from Hakame, and her mother is Mele Mapa. I don't know the exact village she's from, but I knew she grew up in town in Tonga. And we have 4 children in the house. The oldest in the home is just graduating high school, and then we have a brand new newborn with us. So there's a big age growing that we have with the children that's in this household right now. Yeah, I hope I didn't miss anything, but yes, you're right. As far as paying respects to my in-laws, they've been also a huge support system in my journey through higher education.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I think there are a lot of people from Hateho here in the broadcast today. Esther Taylor Maile from Hateho, and a lot of other people from Hateho. So I know that out there, there are a lot of them. And also your in-laws, a lot of people know your father-in-law because as a musician also sang in the choir, plus the people from Hakame, they know how to do loihos better than anyone.
Yes. First-hand witness.
But your mother-in-law, I'm actually related to your mother-in-law, and my wife is related to your mother-in-law, come from the Mapa family as well. So it's I'm glad that we get connected and able to work together on some projects so that we are able to help out. when I came back from that celebration, um, I thought a lot about what my grandfather always said. And I'll share that in Tongan, as I said when I spoke there. Um, Fiau auhi a where mea ki he potoga, fiau auhi a uiha ke ve pato. Eh? So my grandfather was saying that the people from Fermea, they go after education. The people from Uiha were not going after education. They were going after the fishing and all that kind of thing. Okay? So I wish my grandfather was still here so I can tell him, no, you're wrong. We have come so far now. It's not anymore about fishing in the ocean. We're fishing in the educational field ocean, right? Okay. So I hope that you are connected. There are a lot of people that are excited. They know your mother's family. But I want to switch over to you were in the football or athletic, right? Student athlete. And how did you manage to, because we know that as a student, and a lot of people have student hyphenated athletes. So the student part is always number one, the athlete part is number two. It's not easy to function in two worlds, so to speak. World number one is the education, world number two is the athlete part. And if you draw those two circles together, side by side, there is an intersection in the middle. I believe that's where your GPA comes into place and other things. Okay, how did you manage to basically live in two worlds? Because people who are not student athlete, they only deal with one world, basically. But people like you and others, you're dealing in two worlds. You have to do really well in one world and really well in the other. Therefore, you continue to play. Okay? Share your experiences if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'll share my experiences. I would say with me, and I want to be transparent, and which is what led me to research, to focus my PhD work in researching the student athlete experiences, especially for us Polynesians who are student athletes or trying to go professional in a sport or navigate the athletic pathway to college. Is that my experience? My first early experience was just like those that we hear, not only in our community, but a lot of the research that's around is I fell to the focus on it's all about sports. As long as I do my best in sports, things will just come along. My school would just come along. But that didn't happen. I learned the hard way, and I learned early that the way the system actually works is while it's preached that academics is first or the students first, my experiences, which I know there's many other student athletes have experienced, especially at the college level, that it's really we're groomed or we're taught to focus more on that athletics piece. So you see this thing coming and clashing where I know I'm here through the opportunity of athletics and using my physical skill and talent to get me here to a college campus. But the actual opportunities to pursue my academic goals was clashing with that. And it was okay because the environment for especially, and I'm speaking more for maybe like specific sports, like maybe football, because it's a big advertised money making program for colleges. That there's a different experience that these guys get that say no, just focus on your athletics, and the school part will come. But like I said, that really didn't come until some of us will get through it so far that we're like, wait, I've been here playing sports for 3 years, but I don't know what classes I was supposed to take. I don't know what major I'm supposed to do. I'm not even prepared to pursue a career that I want once I'm done. And so my early experiences, I actually was falling through that track. I actually went through the junior college ranks. The reason why is I did not graduate high school because I was so focused on sports. I thought, just play hard, do my best at sports, and something will just push me into college. But that was wrong. That's not actually works, because colleges also want to know not only how I am as an athlete, but how I am as a student, but also how I am as a person. So there's other areas of evaluation that colleges look at an athlete. And those parents right now know, if you have an athlete, a student athlete who's pursuing college, there's a thing called eligibility. Eligibility means I have to have certain GPA. I have to have taken certain classes while in high school. I had to do some extracurricular things outside of sports to make me look more of a better candidate for a college. And so there's more than sports. And I fell in that. So I fell in it too late to where I didn't realize. And then I end up flunking out of high school. It wasn't until after a little bit that time that I realized, wow, what did I do? I missed the target of my plan. And then looking at some of the situations I was going through my family, it like compounded, made things even harder. So when I had those 3 months after to think it through, then that's when education clicked for me and said, that's what I need to focus on, is my education. So I ended up taking the GED route, getting it, and then going on, walking on out of junior college. And then once I had the opportunity to get on, I never looked back at school. Never looked back in terms of those mindsets and behaviors of slacking in school. I made sure that whatever I do, whatever route football takes me, school is always going to be the consistent thing. And so that's a battle, because oftentimes, my experience as a young Tongan kid is I thought you just play sports and things open up, but that wasn't how it happened, and reality kicked in. So I had to change my mindset. I had to start learning and understanding, what does education really mean for me, and what is my goals, and how am I going to achieve them, and say I'm going to focus on school. Athletics is just part of that experience. So that's a little bit about my early experiences of how I got into school.
Yeah, that is amazing, Dr. Tonga Nevai. And if I may zero in one of the points that you said, that you basically had to get off and took the GET path. Okay, I think that all of us here in this broadcast will realize that every pathway is different for everyone. And even if you drop out, and even if you left for whatever reason and take the GET, you can still come back and, like in your case, and graduate with a bachelor's, with master's, and a PhD. I mean, the world does not come to an end, okay?
Yeah.
So you can always, I think in the educational field, they say drop out and drop back in. You got to be able to drop back in, okay? And for you to share that, it comes because of your humility. Okay. Sometimes some people, when they get to the PhD level, they don't want to share anything that I failed one class, but I learned from it. Okay. So right now, everybody have different pathways, and I'm grateful that you share this experience, because I have a student athlete, my youngest son, and I'm trying to make sure that he understands that you people who play sports are not the same as everybody. Because everybody is just focusing on one world. People who are student hyphenated athletes, they have two worlds to play, and it's very tough. Okay, some of us, we're not athletes. One world is tough enough. But for people like you and others who make it and graduate and then move on in their lives, that's a whole lot of organization that you have to do, follow up, and almost like the game of hiko in Tonga, how to balance life, and because you have a wife and kids and responsibility to pay the bills and things like that. Okay, I want you to think about this, and then we'll take a commercial break and a song before we come back. The thing that you it will be great for you to share is that from what you learned when you came back to take your bachelor's and your master's and finally your PhD, what are the things that help you to be successful in those degrees? Okay, so you are free to talk about anything from spiritual to whatever process that you want to share. So let's take a commercial break here. We'll come back with a song, then we'll go from there. Okay?
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Alasi ile puha ko e kumana ia. Kata mua mai vaka o mateki ako e ko ke mateu nai.
Pele hongoni. Na ko falala pe ki o tupu le whanua.
Me puha. Pe o ke pehete ulava tupu le whanua ke ngangana hi whapaanga ki whai ako putu. Mawe ke toho mawhai mana ia hadai ni.
Ie, ko osi ki wheho iwi whai mana.
Alasi o matua, ko au mau kis fefine, ko kure atu mei pulotu, o te moho haa, he kuia e whaunga ki tokoni atu ki homo tuunga mateu o ka hoko mai a mate. Ko Lincoln Heritage Funeral Advances, e lava ke ai ha mo malu I putu. Ko malu I putu o ku lava ke malu I ha fefine pe tangata, pe ku sise I hifo hono tau motua I he tau waunima. O kune lava malu I ha taha pe o kai mau ene pepa, pe o kai ha ene fika ngā ue. O kai foka ke fie mau hasiri mo I lelei. Te tau lava pe o whakafonu I he telefoni pe I kai fie mau, te tau toi fe tau laki. Koe whai ngofua, mawe pe o ko pau foki he o ka hoko mai e mate. I loto I he hoa e ua wha, e hua I a ho paanga malui, I ho account, pe a ke nonga mo e fie mari, pe to e nonga foki mo ho whanau, mo toi ngai family. Koia, tuku ai ke pe a mo tā ke fika telefoni. Ona ni manoa, tolu noa fitu ni minima taha. Pe koe fika telefoni a ane pasina. Ona ni manoa, malu tolu fa fitu.
Oia we, kua ongo ki puloto e ku ta e matente.
Iyo, koe whakamore whakaoski o mo ui o kio afu ni mape. Tā lewa ke fika telefoni, ono ni manoa walu tolu fa fitu, pe koe ono ni manoa tolu noa fitu nime taha ki whakaikiki, he kua ose taimia tupu le whanua. O fie mauia ke mateu e toko taha kotoa o ka hoko mai a mate ki o tau whamiri. Ke toi lele yanga e COVID taha hiwa I California ni, ka oku te ekipe ke osia. Oku iai ngai state lahi Amerikani oku toi whakaututuanga e toko lahi e kakai oku nau puke. Neongo ko kakato aho o huhu malu I COVID taha hiwa, o keifi e maupe ke tui aho o mask. Whano maupe ho nima, pea ke whakamamao ake e fute e ono, me he kakai ke he, pea moe ngai feitu oku toko lahi. Koe whaunga pe ia e ta ofia I e mafola ai mahaki whakaauhani. O ka pau o fie mau ke puka hau appointmenti ki e huhu malu I COVID tahiwa, pe a ke tā ki he malu tolu, wha ua nime nima, pe a lomii ai tolu. Fika telefoni, malu tolu, wha ua nime nima, pe a lomii ai tolu. O kuatu e whanongonongoni I he anga lelei, ai Center o Sierra Health Foundation. Oku te ekipe ke Osef umahak whakaauhani, oku kei lahi au pito ngai state o toi toko lahi kakai oku mao he COVID tahiwa. Koe whaunga pe aho ta ofi e vailasi, koe hoko atu e tui e mas, whano mao pe honima, pe ke tau he wama mao koe fute e ono moe kakai kotoa pe. Ka paulewa fie mao ke puka hao, appointmenti ke huhu malu I COVID tahiwa, tā ke fika telefoni, malu tolu, wha ua nime nima, pea lomi ai tolu. O kuatuen I hanga lelei ai Center o Sierra Health Foundation.
fa mo'oni o fa to'oli loe Unu fe apingeu Iki mosani Keita hie talimai Utulupe asi owi Tuonga he ofata e heliaki Meita fui Meita fui kore Kore kupele 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 Kore kupele
Whamaloa o pito ho e ki mwe hamata pule ho mou kei tuku taimi ka mou mea mai ki he polo kalama lofa talamatangi i he fiafi whakakoloa koe ni. Tai tari whiawhia hai peheni a tokita sione tonga one vai. Pea oku iai ai ngai komen hen e tokita tonga one vai mea esta teila maile ko e kaunga api a ho whae. Lowena tau te ori pea mi he sila pelua pea unau manatu lerei a he anga o he vahe o e mea tokoni he aho sāpate. So I was one of those. I always waited for the neighbor's food on Sunday because they're always better. So so grateful that we get the opportunity to not only on this program but to team up together in some projects that will be coming here soon. And love to help you, and I hope that you had time to help me like what you're doing today. Losella Brown, thank you. Pehe Losella Brown ni ukulahi e kautake tā mi uiha. Uiha is on a different level now. Kai ke te whai e tātā pate, pe mo uku mo hunu ka o te we're beyond that. So I'd like to return back to you, and you can briefly share those. What are those factors that help you with your bachelor's, master's, and your doctorate degree? Okay.
Yeah. There are some things as I think back through when I first started my bachelor's program. So I want to say that there's unique things in each program. As you know, Dr. Paulo, there's some certain things that come at each level that are different from another. For example, there were some things that I had to have or had to do during my master's program that was different than my bachelor's program, and so on with my PhD. But to put it as a whole, that there was consistent things that I needed and that I used to help me all through going through that journey of getting my bachelor's, master's, and PhD. The first thing that I would like to share is to have a plan, right? So that we don't just go, I didn't go in just saying, let me check it out, let me see what's going on, or let me see what's there. I had to figure those things out before I got into college. And once I figured out what those plans were, then I had to figure out what are the things that I need immediately to help me get through the steps, right? So the way I picture it is like you have a map, and within that map, you have a goal, right? There's a certain destination we're trying to get our ship to. But in order to get our ship or our canoe to that end goal, there may be people we have to know or have to see. There may be certain resources that we need to understand. There may be certain ways that we have to know that's expected of me as a college student. And so learning what college has to offer, but also understanding what college expects of me as a student, I had to make sure I understood those things and put it into my plan. So that was the first thing, is to have a plan and know where I'm going. A second part was having a great support system. I was blessed to be married at a young age. In terms of being a young adult, was able to marry an awesome woman who had the same goals as I did. So I actually met my wife while we were both finishing up our undergraduate, our bachelor's. And so we ended up, once we married, we agreed to transfer together to the University of Utah and finish our last 2 years together in the same program. And we actually, because of we were in the same degree, but we had different emphasis. So because we're in the same degree, some of the classes we had to take, we took it together. But the emphasis, we took it separate. And so having her there was an immense support to helping me not only keep me in line, but to remind me of my motivation and to understand that my journey, while I'm going through it with her, but our journey is really setting up for what our plans are for the future. So that's number two. I had a great support system in my wife, and not only did she support me in my journey, and also that I vice versa support her in her journey, but we had the same goal. We probably didn't have the same career aspirations, but we had the same goal. So we made sure our maps aligned so we can support each other. So that's number two, support. That was something that I used throughout my educational journey. And the same thing with the plan, right? So once I got my bachelor's, the plan had to shift and say, why am I doing a master's? What I want to do, and how am I going to get through it, and what I want to do with after I receive a master's. So that plan shifted, but I still had a plan, and I knew what I wanted to do, and that went on to my PhD. And then the third thing, and I think this is something that that comes from us, from the individual person who's pursuing their goals in education, is you got to have the grit. You got to dig deep and say, I'm going to do this. I can do hard things. This is really what I want. So that carries you through the path. So that way, if there's times, you might get deterred or you might not be as motivated, but you have to look in with yourself, just like what others, when they pursue other goals, is if they really want it, they're going to do what they can to shift their life to get through it. So looking through you. And then fourth, I would say spiritually, my Heavenly Father, and relying and having faith that while I would say like this, that I'm not pursuing this because I want to, but I'm pursuing it because it aligns with His will. And when I was able to figure it out alongside my wife and my kids, blessings came out that literally not only helped us endure any hardships that we had with school, our personal lives, our finances or whatnot, that we're able to still take it in and push forward and move forward. So have a plan, number one. Number two, have a support system. Number three, have grit. You can do hard things. And number four, have faith in our Heavenly Father. Align ourselves with His will. So those are things I would say, Dr. Paulo, that helped me maintain my journey all throughout my college education.
That's awesome. Those are great examples of support system that all of us who get to this level need to acknowledge at all times, that God is very much in our lives and our success. And only through His grace and through His love and mercy that we are able to achieve something. Otherwise, we'll not be able to do. I think it's a great point that we'll always remember that our wives were there with us through the good time and the hard time. There were some lessons and some classes that you just want to give up.
Yeah.
And at that kind of time, when you come home and look at your wife and children, then you realize there is no giving up. I have to do this. I have to do the hard things. Okay, and I remember on our way out after we say goodbye to you and Anna and some of the families, and that's when you stood out and spoke. I wish you spoke earlier when a lot of people were there. So we make sure that we stop and listen to the entire speech that you gave. And those things still in my mind as if like you spoke yesterday. Okay. So I like to give the time to you to share those because those things are very important for the youth, but also very important that the parents, grandparents need to understand those three things and help their youth or their kids or grandkids to make sure they understand them and use them in their own journey through their education.
Yeah, yeah. I'm actually humbled that you liked that my little speech, and I apologize that I wasn't able to say it earlier. I was kind of going with the program, but I wanted to at least get in to say something. But I initially wanted to share just my gratitude and being thankful for the support because, as you mentioned, it was a celebration of me finishing the PhD. But given it being COVID and stuff, there's a bit restriction on gathering. Um, but I wanted to really celebrate with those who really there were with me through the journey and even helped me. So I'm very humbled that you had, as someone as esteemed as yourself, and a lot of the work that you have done for the community, that you had taken a liking to what I shared. I appreciate that. But to kind of share with our listeners some of the things or the points that I shared in my uh, little talk to those at the end of my celebration, I basically broke down and wanted to talk about three things. Is one is remember who you are, remember who you come from. Number two, tenacity. That when we want to do something or get after something, when we want it real bad, we're gonna do everything we can, mind, power, and spirit to go after it. But I want to throw in a caveat in there is that as long as it's something that's positive and something good. And then three is to act. And so what I meant by those three things is a big part of my journey to not only pursue college, to get through college and finish. I know I shared a bit about the major influence of my wife and children, but the first influence was my mother. And our upbringing was rough, with my father passing and my mother, just trying to survive and do what she can to live the life that she sought out, but also try to manage a family. I'm very grateful for her family members. She had brothers, cousins, and her great aunts and uncles who all had a hand in helping raise myself and siblings. But within that experience, there was a lot of shortcomings that came about that presented barriers or hardships that could have it could have influenced me down different paths from today. But I'm glad that she constantly always reminded us about the importance of not school, but the importance of a college education. I even remember when I was young, and there was a time where she wanted to find ways to get better employment. She actually went to college and enrolled into a junior college, community college, and wanted to say, I want to start first before I can get my bachelor's. I need to get my associate. So I remember at a young age, seeing her go through that, even, times taking us to her classes when professors allowed it, having her little kids sitting there in the very back of the classroom, watching her until she's done with all her classes, sitting in our little van while she was in school out in the parking lot. So seeing these, sacrifices, even though life was tough for a while, and she did have a lot of family to help ease it. But the main thing is that we were able to see her pursue things that wanted to make her and her little family better. So those experiences were imprinted in me to understand that a college education is very important, because why would my mother go through these things and make things harder on herself and the family if it wasn't that important? So remember where we come from. Remember the sacrifices, not only with my mother, but also with our ancestors and other family members who then their sacrifices end up becoming the energy or the mana that pushes me to make sure I pay respects back by trying to be a better person or give back by following through with some of the aspirations that my mom wanted for a college education. So I share that a college education was something that was always put in me, which is odd because I, didn't finish high school with my class. But again, that story or the narrative or reminder of my mom to pursue a college education. And it was and even during that time when I fell out, she had brothers who made sure that not only we were taken care of, but when I decided to go back to school, they were on board and finding ways to not only maybe support in whatever way they can to get me through it, even though they didn't understand that I was really wanting a college education. And so that's what I mean by remember who you are, that those struggles and sacrifices that those who come before, especially if it's parents, grandparents, that we don't take it for granted and we literally use their sacrifices to help us be better for the future, for ourselves and those who come after us. And so when I say tenacity, that leans in tenacity. So when I finally understood that I wanted to get a college education, and then when I got married and understood that I'm going to have a family, and then I was very blessed, like I said, being able to pursue a college education, my bachelor's program alongside my wife. She was also not only a motivator by saying, hey, let's get this done, but she was also a motivator of like, hey, you got to finish, because I don't know what else skills you have. We need skills that's going to help, take care of our children if we're going to have a family. Right now, we're having a growing family, so you got to do this. So not only is there pressure, but this understanding of it, that it's pressure that moves me in a way that I know and feel that I can get things done. I can go through hard things. I can look at new territory and not be afraid to pursue what I want, because I know it's better for those that I'm going to support, like my wife and kids. So tenacity, when we go after things, go after them hard and tough, and don't give up. I know as an analogy for sports, especially for those of us who play like football or rugby, that it's very easy to get in that mindset of being tenacious, of like, I'm going after the person with the ball, or if I have the ball, I'm going to run it hard. If we use that same mentality when we come up with obstacles in life, or when we have goals that are non-athletic related, that tenacity can still be there. And I feel like that's what helped me get through a lot of the hard times, is just being tenacious, going after it. And then the third thing is, now that I've been able to finish my PhD, throughout my wife and I's journey through schooling, we've always found ways to not only give back to the family, but give back to the community. We started a nonprofit, and we've also found ways to, and I know you've done this too, Dr. Paulus, we found ways to, while we were going to schooling, how do we support our neighbors, our cousins, our nephews and nieces, our siblings, ward members, find different paths through education, and supporting them through those, from tutoring classes to helping them with admissions and being a consultant. So now that I was able to finish my doctoral program, now that I have more skills and abilities and resources to really give back, so my thinking is now I need to act on that. What am I going to do now, rather than just saying I can help you? What am I going to actually leave to have a platform or foundation for those who are coming after me, the next Tongans or Polynesians who are coming after me who pursue a PhD? Because I really feel that now that I've been able to be there, that I need to help the next person who has the same educational goals and desires to get there, especially if it's a doctoral program. And that was something that was reminded to me also because I part of my committee. I had a Samoan committee member who always helped me through the process. And when I finished, all she said is, "Ulysses, Sione, all I want you to do is now find the next Tongan PhD." So that's what I mean to act. So now it's my turn to act, and that's what I really want to do in finding ways to support the next Tongan scholars, especially PhD scholars. So that's a little bit about what I shared, Dr. Paulo, and I hope our listeners were able to understand or at least take something away from a little bit about my experience. But thank you for letting me share some stuff about from my talk that night.
Thank you. Esther Taylor Maile, Losella Brown, Malo e Kaumai, and Willow Finau knows you and your family manatu i koe moho o whae loena tau teori i California. So there are a lot of people that know you and know about you and your parents as well. And to see you at the top, graduating with a doctorate degree, for those of us who have gone through this process, it's not easy. And the money involved, we're grateful that there were people in other processes that help us to pay for the school, you know, and especially our wives. And that is an important factor that we'll never forget. Without our wives, we'll never be successful. And without God, we'll never be successful. So there are a lot of things that happen. So as our time coming up, Dr. Tonga Onevai, any last things that you want to share? And that will be the it for us this evening.
Yeah, thank you for sharing those listeners who are chiming in. I actually remember Willow Finau, and I want to share a little bit about her because it relates to when I shared about support. So when I talked about dropping out of high school, there was a phase afterwards that I was figuring out what am I going to do next. I knew I wanted to go to college, so I decided to do a GED. But during that time when I was doing my GED, I actually moved to California for a bit, and Willow Finau was there, and we connected because my sister at the time was good friends with her daughter, but I was homeless for a bit, trying to figure out where am I going to go to school, how am I going to pay for school, and being homeless for a bit, I actually was blessed to have Miss Finau take me in for a bit and house me and feed me, and her family helped out on my journey getting back into school. So I just want to share that. So thank you, Ms. Finau, for being there and also chiming in. But I guess to share, and again, I'm just humbled that my story or my experiences can be helpful for others. But I also proud that I'm representing our Tongan people, our family, and I'm following in the steps of Dr. Palu, and not only just education, but using our education to better the people, to be a better ambassador for the Tongan culture. I know with me growing up here and living here in the States, that it's a lot different experience for those outside the States, but I'm always keeping close the Tongan principles that I've been taught by my family, and that I make sure that as I move the community, and that I always give back and find ways to pay respects. But I just appreciate again this opportunity to have this conversation with you, Dr. Paulu, and also for the listeners for chiming in. I appreciate everybody.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tonga Onevai, graduate of the University of Utah, and also from the Tauteoli family, Tonga Onevai family, and the Ika family. We appreciate all. Willow Finau, thank you for your help and support, so all of us can help and support other people in their educational pathway. And appreciate taking your time, Dr. Tonga Onevai, to be at the paenga wake tariwhalau and to share the things that you have shared today, and hopefully those things will help parents out there and to motivate their kids. Even though you left without graduating with your class, take the GED. That's the good thing about America. There is another way to graduate, and you can go on and achieve more. So thank you for your time. We appreciate you, and I'm sure this is not the last of our conversation here. There will be some other conversation in the future. And as always, if there is something you want to share, you're welcome to come back to the Paengai Wake Tariwhalau. Ofa tu tonga one vai. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Yo, ofa tu.
Yo, malo pito. Ko iai e ho eki mo e ha mata pure, tua ta anki whanongonga ua ma tau fo i hiwa, pea ka hiri ko ia pe tau whokia te ke hoa whaka osi, o na mo mawahe ka mo share te tau polokama, ko i hiu bau inga mea ke lava teu teu, pea wahe wahe, kia teki mo taulu e hoa whaka osi, malo.
Oia we, kila pu, meke whai, oia we mele. Ko e so mai ke si whanau e nau tangutu. Ki ke nau breakfast, pa si o mai ki he ke fo. Mo ua ko kua mai. Kai ki u lava e ato tonga mo ua taha e mele. Whainga ta ia hoa mole ni ngā we. Ko mau tangutu ko ni ko ai ke si tafu e haka ko ki ha masi a mele. Hala ha se ni te taha ke si lava toko ni mai.
Mauri mate fie toko ni kau kai kia. Anga ho no au he no. Ka koe ni. Ka koe ngongo e ni. Ko ke sa nongo ai. Heni.
O
ke kau taha no heni.
Ife i heni. O tau whitu.
Iyo. Koe Siva Capital. Siva Capital. Mante ko Amerika la hen koe i kare. Koe i kare. Koe ko tonga ko Amerika la i kare. O ke kau taha no. E mauri nau os ai ahi. Ka kau talat. O ko mari ngai ahoni. Koe ngawe ai Siva. Ka koe tasi. O hen e nau kāti, e nau whika telefoni te o atu ke tāki ai toko.
E o mere o mai mua e whika ke whakai ki ana si lava ha toko ni.
Kai ki ha mea kāna ta he māma koe ni.
Whainga tā ia lai.
Ko ka men ke nofo ko loto mo ua ki ai. Ofa mai tā, ke pe ngai whaunga, me ngai whei tuu. Tangata ofa, tangata fie toko ni. Tangata fie.
Ofa pe mele lava toko ni mai.
Tomo tangata lotu. Tangata lotu e na ta.
Io mo oni a mele. Siva Capital koe kautaha no malu i ake e koloa whakatonga i Amerika lahi. Pe koe waa fokia o Siva International LLC. O ko nau hala ha paanga tupu interest ke uluaki mahina, pia i ngahi mahina hoko, o ko paanga Amerika pe e ua ki e aho, ko ki i totongi sisi i mo whaka atui ke tauhi aki ho koloa whakatonga pe koe storage fee. Tā mai lewa he ahoni ki he Siva Capital he wawetaha. I e whika telefoni koe ni, taha walongi au o no noa Siva. Pe koe taha walongi au o no noa Fituwha Valua. Siva Capital koho o kau taha tonga ma ai tonga i Amerika lahi.
Koe whanongonongo konteina ki tonga, me he kautaha tonga o whaki tonga. E hoa iki moe kāinga tonga ko toa o Salt Lake City. O mau fie whanongononga tueni ke teki mo tō ko toa o fie awe ha mo uta ki tonga eiki. Ka taki o whakatoka ngā iangi, o iai ha kautaha ko nau pore taki ke whai whatongia maa tonga, o whakawhea ko taki whakahanga tonu, o mau o whaki o mau kāinga ki tonga, te ko wawai foki i whaunga matu o ki pau, mo whaka atu u mo one. Ko e tau mahu inga o kuanga pehenia. Ki tonga tapu, ko e puha walwha o paanga i e fitungi au hiwa no. Ko e puha whawha o paanga i e taungi au hiwa nima. Ki wawa u, ko e puha walwha o paanga i e hiwa au fitu no. Ko e puha whawha o paanga i e whaanga au walu nima. Ko e whanga ki uta mawahe, hange ko e talamu, kula, pini, o kui kai ki whao i he puha. Whakawhitu taki hanga tonu mai pe ki kautaha tonga o whakitonga, ki a tonga pia mo kōrini a mone, ki
Kina o atu ahono whakaiki te mahono maho inga i he maho inga o whakaatu I moni. O kuto e lava pe e he tonga ofa ki tonga o whau pe ngauhia o puha. O te riva tuia ki ho api no fuanga i he maho inga o whakaatu pe hamu tau iwi. Ko e puha walu wha o paangai e te au fitu nima. Ko e puha whawha o paangai e walu nima. Whakatoka nga iange, ko e ngesi puha pe o kutotongi. Ka ko te riva tonu mo I piki mai o I puha o I kai ki totongi ia. Te au ka pau ko e puha pe ia a au, kau ke loto ke uta hau puha I e kau taha tonga ofa ki tonga, te mau ke I vela maa whana pe ke lere atu ki o api no koanga, ke uta tae totongi mai a hau puha. Ki hao fia mau mo hatoi whaka eke eke, kāta ki o whakawhitu utaki mai ki kau taha tonga ofa ki tonga, ki a tonga pia mo kōrini a moni, I e whika telefoni walu noa taha, ono taha, noa wha ono walu. Whika telefoni walu noa taha, ono taha, noa wha ono walu. Pe ko ho whakawhitu utaki hanga tonu hake pe, ki a e seta tamare, I tonga eiki. Kene o atu hatoi whakaiki ki o whakawhikau aki, pia mo ho o uta. Whakapapatu me kau taha tonga, ofa ki tonga.
Te whakatapu I huelo o e la'a Urungi ai si o whani a te koke pila Eli Michelle o e lo se hawa Whaka mari mari e na vei o e ofa Whaka mari mari e na vei o e ofa Ne wiki mo sali Apine utupu ai O whakalaula toa Ngahi tapu a kifungani Sila I pea whakamau Oi whai hai Ilai sane tolofi Ai rini mo finau Si I whanau Neu o whai Api ko tawhenga manu Si ato o whaanga Whakalata pe manongi Asi ele o onga Whonu moe moa Si ato lau tau anga Aotearoa Si ota whonu atu puanga Si ete whakaamu Tongia e whatongia Wesa mo ka hoa E mai le moe he ilala Na e tui nei he api O whakamaunga he ofa Manu kau whai ana Ia e te lau noa Manu kau whai ana Ia e te lau noa Tarik lani halari loto keitu umoe lau E ikai ngalo I he eku manatu No o loto o si oto salu salu Fai angaia e te sali moe lau gau Fai angaia e te sali moe lau gau Api ko tawhenga manu si ato o whaanga Whakalata pe manongi asi ele o onga Whonu moe moa si ato lau tau anga
Whamalo au pito hou e ki moe hamata pure ho mo tuku taimi ka mo mea mai ki he pāinga e wā ke tariwhalau i he aho whakakoloa koe ni pēa ko mo toki mea mai ia ki he whaike eke ko ia o Dr. Sione Tonga Onewai pēa hange ko klawe ane nei ulahi a Sione Tonga Onewai a ia ko ini kui ia te vita toa ngutu ko e kukui ia ko e whaetaha kai tamai keke. Pea mi he otu kene ki nā ka maa whoki ai makahogo walu. Pea koe taha whoki e ngai poini ku lawa ki ma wahe atu mo hoa nā tau kamata mai e maina ko osi. Ai mahu inga ko ia ke iloi mea i he whanau ka maa whoki aki mong tolu. Ai mahu inga o e ngahi expectation. He uku kehe ai ngahi expectation e university. Kau whai ako, korisi ko ia o nau iai, pe koe nursing school, pe koe alu ke law school, iai pe mo expectation e kau whai ako, pe au ti ai pe mo expectation e kau counselors, mo expectation a tau tolu koe mātua, oku i he university e tau whanau, aia ka paureo te lava he whanau o iloi, ko bawa pe ke nau iloi a expectation, mahinoi, pa tau hanga rewa o mui whakataha. Ke lawa ke nā wā usia a e tuunga whakaofa ko ia. Pea manatui mau pe o ku koe ako o kongalala he ua kua e ako o whai whare ako. Pea kua e ako o whai pe ia i tua. Hange ko ki mō tolu ko matui e taimi ko ia e kukui i uiha. O ku whai ai ako mokohunu, uku mokohunu, ka mai tau mātau whai ai tahi. Kai ke whai whare ako. Ko manatu e whao whārimu, mo e taaki mai, mo mai e rimu tangau, rimu vai, mo rimu fuafua, ngai whaitu keke. Kau ia ngai poini, lalahi ku whotu atu e Dr. Tonga Onewai, pia mo e mahu inga ko ia, o e tenacity, pe ko te loto lahi pe te aluma upe o whai ai whainga. Whai maalo ki a Willow Finau, ko tui koe ngau e lava mea ia na ake whai hono o whai pe a toka ngai. Mo pou ki a Sione Tonga Onewai, Dr. Tonga Onewai, pe a konea usia ai whaitu uko ni, mo e tuunga ko ni, ko ia koe kakaito lahi na nau tokoni. Tau te whito ki ono hoa, ko koe e Willow Finau moha o mātua, tau whito ke ne whae moha ni ike. Ka ku taitari whiawhia ai hoa hen karisi pānu, whaeta ki sei halo ki he mātanga karisi, patato ki hoko atu.
Alo mo lelei, whiawhia pito ke i hen mo ki mauto, mo ki mautolu, o whapegu mo mauha aho whakawha ofa, mo aho lelei i he aho ua goeni o sune. Mao, whiawhia au pito ke i hen mo ki mautolu. Pea ki mua ke ta hoko atu. Ko whia u ke congratulate e kau wako goena nau osi i he tauni. Class of 2021, he? Aia na e toko lahi e kau osi me i he kolisi. Pea ngahi wike koe ni kua osi o wikendi hoko mai ai ki he high school ko koe pe na e aiha o tamasi mua ki ta ahine na e osi me he ako o whape ke maoha monu pe o whape ka pauna na osi me high schoolu o whape ke hanga whakaloto lahi i e whenki whanau ke toi hoko atu pe koe kono osi eni ke toi hoko atu pe ai ako ke university. Pea ka pauna ke osi me he university ma ho bachelor. Congratulations o whape ke hoko atu o ma ho ke alu ke graduate program. Masters pe hoko forever ki he PhD mo e doctorate. Ko ia kum ma ho awhalahi atu ka teki mo tolu. Pea o whape ke hoko e ngahi mea koe nuku whai atu i he whiawhini. Ke tokoni atu ia ki he tau whanau. Pea i he taimi koe ni oku whakahoko atu e nā waka whakata mai.
Ko ia, mālo au pito. Pea kaunia i ha Koe taumu ako ia o expectation ko tui ka pauna na hanga he tau mātu out. Ko matui piko expectation pe na e tala mai alu o ako pa ke ako mālohi pa pau te ke au ki he tuunga ko ia o ku whai ke ai palani mana tui ke whai e tokoni ki ho tau kāinga pe o kai ke eke ha paang.
Koia.
Koe lahi taha whuki o ki tau tolu mātu a koe ange. Uhiu nau hanga nau tō expect tau tolu ke tau o whai ai mea ko ia. Pea lava. Uhiu ko nau tolu ia o nau whai ngā ue. Mai mea tokoni pe ai whare pe koe apartmeni o reni. Koe hapea whainga mea koe ko nau whatongi a ia. Ka kutau whatonga i hau eiki moe hama tāpure. O kaike kei tatau ane afi moe ahoni. Koe ahoni ko pau ki tau hange koe lau koe a kau pālangi. All hands on deck. Ko ki nau tolu koe una wanga he wholau waka. Tau te whituka tik nau tolu e kau seila. Ko pau ma upe ke on hands on deck. All hands. Pau lewa ke tau ngau e whakataha. Kehe a tonga i he kuohiri mo Amerikani. Peko whanua ngai whanua muri mo me ai i he kuongani. Ko pau ke tau ngau e whakataha. Mo e whanau, kau whaiako, counselor, ko e VP, ko e principal, mo e kakaito kauai, mo e coach, mo manatui, ai mahu inga o kau coach, pe hange ko he vahe a toke tā tonga o ne vai, mahu inga ma upe ke ilo i oku student first, but hyphenated, but toki athlete, ke oa e tā whataha e tau whanau ke athlete, ka e ngalo ai student he te nau alupeu ka ke nau lava eligible ke nau vainga he whainga spoti ko nau iai.
Koia.
Ka o kui ai mea iau ki e loto koi ke vahe.
Koia, before you go there, ko e another reminder ka pau o ku osi o ki whanau me he high schoolu o ku koe mahinani maha ke kamata mai me December Sanuali, February, o mai en ki sune. Wakai ka te kai ki nau tolu pe na nau whakafonu e nau fomu ki he hūgoi ki he university. He oku deadline ni ai mea koe ni. Ko mau tolu na e kamata e mau deadline ki he fall. Ai ako kamata koe i a ko September e tauni. Na e kamata ia me December. Pea na e toki osi e deadline aneafi ki he fall. Ka whamatu e pek ho ki tamasimo ho ki tahine. Pea na e whakafonu e nau admission application ki he university wale oku nau whehu ki ai. Pea ka ba oku na e kai ke whakafonu. Mahalo pe oku ke iai peha university oku te kai ke do e nau application ke nau sio pe ki ai. Kugo e ai apiako go e ni ke sio ki ai pe ko fe ai ahogo ku osi ai e nau admission application pea whenga ke au ki ai.
Koia. Pea tui tukat lewa ai mea au ke fie whai ke vahe i he fie.
Koia. Te tau ki i divert just a little me he tau polokalama koe na e ton ke hoko atu o kau ki he ngahi expectations. Pea koe e whiawhini ko pehe ke tau whetala noa aki ki ha ripoti na e asimai i he newspaper i he maha i he wike kua osi pe ko wike atu. Aia koe ripoti eni na e hau i he KSL i he koe newspaper eni pe koe kautaha whamafola letio, newspaper, TV i hia i Salt Lake City. Pa koe nau ripoti eni o kau ki he whanau, koe tau mua e ripoti, koe Utah students would prefer help applying for college scholarships more than free school. Koe nau survey, koe whamatala koe ni nei asmaia i he pepa i he aho wataha o me ua noa wataha. Pea, na mau koe uhi koe ngaua koe ni o kuo Kauai i he university na mau fie mau ke mau sio ki he ripoti koe ni. Pe koe hon ai ngahi survey, ai result ai survey koe na whai koe he kautaha koe ni, I he na hanga o interview hai tamaiki ako, whanau ako. Pe he koe whanau ako ni, koe maha koe toko fitu afe ono nge au na nauhanga o interview pe mao e survey koe ni. O eke anke whanau ke pe koe pe oku mahu inga ki a teki nau tolu ai akota e totongi I he university pe koe apply koe resources, apply ki he university, ki he scholarship koe ai university. Pe he lau ai survey koe ni. Oku mahu inga nge ki whanau, ke nau I ai ngahi resources. Ka pau o koe nau alu ke university, koe ngahi financial aid, scholarship resources, oku mau he apiako koe ni, ke lava ke nau apply ki ai. Kai ke nau interest he mahalo o kuai ai university ni ihi oku nau offer nge free school, Ka koe survey koe ni oku mahu inga kia ke whanau koe ni, ke nau mau ai resource, ke nau ilo ai ngahi resource, ke nau hanga ke nau whakafonu e nau pepa, ke nau apply ke scholarship pe koe financial aid. Aia, koe mapolo kalama koe ni, koe pehe e awia koe tokoni lahi eni he tau kakai. Koe resource eni oku ma whai atu. Pea pehena e whai ke whai ha whetu, mahu inga ke whai hatu whetu taki ki he kautaha koe ni. Pe lava ke whai ha tokoni ka te nau tolu. Pea taimi koe na aku lawai ai whakamatala koe ni. Nau pehe ia e au, koe fo inga au e mahu inga e nia. O kwhai I he whiawhi pule lulu koto ape, ko hono whakahoko atu ai resources ko available. He neongo pepe ko e whē ai university o ku aluki ai hoki I whanau, ka koe mahu inga koe ni ai mea koe ni o ku vahe atu, e tokoni ia ki he aia e whekau aki e me reporti koe ni, na e whai koe I he kautaha koe ni. Koe haha lau
koe. Ai rewa o ku ko lau ka ngahi I sewe I mahu inga eni pia maaria ka te au o hiu te whakaukau atu ki taia ko e whie mao he whanau ke nāna tau ke ngahi o korisi o free.
Ia.
Ta koe o ku whakaukau ke he whakaukau ai whanau. Nau oho vale au he kusio ki he reporti, download whake ai reporti pia me he nau tauna nau whai atu ai ngahi o whekomi koe ni. Pea mahino mai rewa whe mao he whanau ke nau ilo ai process. O kuanga egu kai ke he nia mo tau mea o whaitonga. He guai whoki ai whahinga nihu kai ke nau ilo nau toa no toa I uwhi. Ai au whe mao hange pe nia au whe mao e ki nau tolu ke nau ilo ai anga no teu e pulo pula. Anga no whakaheka pulo pula, anga no keri o e luo. Whakawhalahi I o e luo, tori e luo uhi ke whakawhalahi koe alu koe ai uwhi pia ku lerei rewa. Au nau whema na tau ke nau iloi uhi ke nau lau pe nau toa tō e nau fo I uwhi pe a nau tolu. Keri pe e nau fo I uwhi a nau tolu, pe a nau mau mea tokoni me iai.
Koia. Ai au whema ue e nau tolu ke nau whai ai ngā ue.
Koia.
Ai au koe taimeni ihu te whakakau atu. O whe wai kakai ai e whanai ni ihu nau whe mau bina tolu ai free. Ai flee gogu whalau ki ai, Ka koe lipotia koe ni, o ku kehe ia. Ai a koe whanau koe na e nau osi atu I he tauni pehe ki nau tolu koe ki he tau kahau. Ke whe mau e nau tolu ke nau I loi. Ai ngahi wheitu u koe ke lava ke nau mau me ai scholarship ke lava ke nau hanga pe e nau tolu o whakafonu e nau pepa pe tāri pe te nau mau e scholarship. Na e hago ki kehe ai mea koe ni ka o whakawhiawhia, he ku te sio atu o ku whainga ai whanau. O mahino mai ki i he survey koe ni toko whitu awhia no nge au na e mau koe e survey. O ku nau loto ke nau ngā wei. Yeah? Instead of offering a free scholarship, free financial aid, ka nau loto e nau tōruia ke nau hanga ngā wei, ke nau whakawhonu e nau pepa, pa te nau tāri pe ke sio, pe te nau mau a scholarship ko e ni.
Io, kai ke ngata pe hei ka unau, koe hangi koe lau koe ia ai tangata eiki ki mua. Ka pau te ke hanga o tautau oange pe haika ki hata, e kaika pe ia. Pero taim koe ke oange haika, e fie kai ale vai ia. Ai au mahu ingangi hono ako i e toko taha ko ia, ke hanga o e tau mātau, anga mounu, pa ko whewhei tu o ki ai o whai e tau mātau. Pe kai rewa ki te toi helan toi a hono toi oange hane ika. Poto pe ia e tau mātau, ne ila wheitu ki alu ki ai mui mātau, pea mui mounu ke ngā aki, pea me atu ai pe ia, o whai he ngā ue maana.
Ko ia.
E ku whainga whakakau pe heni me tonga, mahau inga ko ia ke tahonga o ilo ia ngai u process pe heni ke tau whanau. E u whia mai whanau ia ke nau iloi, e whahinga ngā ue koni u whai ki he apply ki ha university. Pea apply ki ha scholarship, na ta os whaifo ke ngai training ko ni. Pea u whawhiawhia ai sio ki ni, uhi u kai ngata pe whamoni e ngai whatotolo ki mua, ka koe ni utoi o mai pe. He koe tau whainga taa e tau ko o si.
Koe.
Ke COVID-19. Koe, u kai ke whea tuku mai he ngahi u state i ko alma pe ke ha wike kotoa pe, a whika koe o e drop out. He uke ai kau whai ako ia na kai pe ke nau tokanga nau tolu ke nau tokoni ke whanau. Ka koe, ki mau tolu ko he university na e mai a email i hangaton mau pe me he Pastenia University kua pau ke tokoni ke whanau. Pea ke ki i relax hi fo haki fo i lao.
Oh, yeah.
Ka pau tō mui mai e pepa. Sai peke ke tāri he ua ko taimi ko ia ku normal ko hono la ka ko tau mui pe pa he ni mai fiafi ton ge tuai ko ki te tāri ho pe pa ko ngau e mau pe mo student athlete o hi he ku ua taimi la he na wo na to luia ke ngai u state ke he wa ingai o hi ke tu ma pe ko ang mau pe whainga maari ka na tolu ko ngau e whakataha mo ki na tolu ko te ko tau mo le rei o whai kei ai pōtala noa mono wahe ko ia o ngai whekumi koe ni. Pea une whakamoni e ngai mea ko ia kuta o si wahe iai. Ka wai me mea ko ia ne lawe kia Dr. Tonga o ne vai, whikau aki pea moe expectation. Fu mahu inga au pito.
Na e pehe e he whakatotolo ko e ni. Te ulau whakapālangi atu pehe me he newspaper. Pehe, because Utah has some of the lowest tuition costs in the country, we have the lowest student debt load in the country. Ai koe nau sio koe ni koe lahi ai u university koe ni i he tau state i Utah o ku low ai tuition, e ku cost.
E ku maange.
Maange. Pea toe taimi koe o ku hanga he whanau o ave hanga hi loani. Pea o kauwhoke ane a Utah ia i he loan debt, i he country. Aia ku te sio atu hange koe ni koe apiako koe ni o ku whatu tā maki ai i Brigham Young University.
Whakaunga tā maki ai.
Whakaunga tā maki ai. What did I say? Whakatuta. Sorry.
Whakatuta maki ga mea ke.
So, ko koe beuk whakatuta maki. Koe tuition cost i he one semester. Aia koe fo i mahina ia e whā. Oku right na e uafe valunge au. Pa oku hiki a kene o tōlu afe. Ki he semester fo i mahina e whā. Aia koe tuition lower lowest taha i he country. Aia ko Brigham Young University ko private schooling. I he siasio sisu kalaisa o kaumani oni e ngai au ki muini. Pe he foki ki he ngahi a Piako University po ko in Utah o ku low ai o ku maa a hono ai tuition. Ko aia ko maho inga o pito ke hanga he whanau o whakatotolo e apia ko unau fie alu ki ai pe ko ha ai cost te nau lava pe o sio pe ko ha hono maho inga o tuition pe te nau lava pe o sio pe ke ngahi ripoti ko ai government pe ko ngahi financial institution pe ko ha e nau debt rate ko debt rate ko ha ai whanau ko borrow ko me he government a student loan pe ko ha leva hono whakawhehoa naki ki he e nau totongi ai loan ni ko ni. Pe mahu inga au pito ni ke tau whanau. I he taini mina ko e government na nau hang ko o approve ai free money. Ai ko tau whaaui ko e Pell Grant. Ai ko e paanga ni o mai he government ke tokoni ke whanau ke whai ake nau ako. Aia koe tai nimi koe tau koe ni ka hoko mai ka mata koe ni i September o kuhiki as ke hake ai paanga koe ni ki he 6,000 plus aia koe maha koe 32,000 ki he fo i semester aia e lava i pe ka pau ko whanau ku ako i he Utah e lava i pe e totongi ako e ke fo i semester e taha koia
Ko tui ke tukan mo ai ki foi whanonong pe tahe mo tau foi whasi pa tau toki foki mai.
Tulau ma whetungingila o whanga ino muka, ma patonga ma whakaunanga moi otu momoa. Ko ha ofa tu nga ahange ko tala e folfola, mui fui vahe e ngalo nai he ha. Ai tangi me he ate moi whaka anaua, hono folaua a o seni mono ngā hea haa. I kai ha utu e hakea, tulau he viviku hono whakahifo mono whakaheka, pia lawi kuonga e maungangana ki tahi moi uta. Ai suingi he mai a, lifi e ka e ngā he puha whao angauta, li ake whanau hange ha mea noa. Pea kofu e kautole ke reka he whala hange ha pekia, etc. etc. Pea ka ala tā maki mo popo uli anatula. Ai tangi, te mau whewhe, he koloto tahi pe he moana waware. Wafu, wafu, wafu. Ko e ahonia mono ngahi o iawe, ki ha pong nonga pea mo whie maarie. Ko ha matapate ne lilingi a ngahi monu ia, ki he whangai no muka mo e otu momua. Ko ha atokoni ko e vai kau aki. Let's go, let's go, let's do it. Ot momua no muka wolf project. Ua no ano fitualu, ano valtol fitualu.
Whamalo atu Hawaii ki mo e haamata pūre, mo kei tū taiminga mo mea mai ki he pāinga e wā kei tari whalau, I he whiawhi pure lulu koe ni, pia ko au awhapalu ka maafa kai hoa, ka risipalu whahoka te prokama koe he whiawhi ni.
Whamalo atu ki he whangawhere ni ko eni, o nau ke ihe ni mo tau tolu, e starte la maile, maloho ihe ni. Lindsay Pomee, hope you're doing well. Losella Brown, fra uri fra lelei bena ke si I extend he hala. Lucia Louis Thompson, thank you for being here. Next time I come to California, te ke tui mai hoku kofo owe. Whamalo au pito ki motolo mo heni. Pea ta hoko atu e te talano aki ki he survey ko ni.
Ka ki mua ia koe ton ke mau e whika Losella. Ko Losella Brown koe au naia o e lolo alapasita. Pea te uwhinga ke mau e ne whika telefoni. Ko Lindsay Pomee koe au naia o e lolo kakala te au. Whika telefoni fitu ono noa. Ono waluono no aua. O whātuka koe Lindsay ka māwhau ki ai taua ka James Bond Pomee and the Pomee sisters. Kai whoki atu ki he survey koe ni.
Koe konga taha survey koe ni nau whamatala pehe. Koe whanau koe oku hoko o pehe koe first generation. Teke lava whamatala ki he kainga koe ha ai first generation.
Koia. Koe tāwhake ni ha tau mua o ku mahu inga au pito ki he ngahi university. He koe first generation ko ki nau toluia o kufua I he taimilahi ko nau tolu nau fufua hau ki he university. Aia ko taua ko first generation ki taua. Koe ta whanau ko second generation ia ka pau te nau o ki he university.
Koia.
Pea mahu inga au pito ku hi ko tau tupuhake I Tonga. Tau mai me he whamiri masiva, pao mai ki mātua o whai e whinga I Hawaii. Lere atu e ngai mātua ki Nusila. Pea kātoa ngai ngāwe ofa koe tau mātua toni ki tau ke university. Pea ui rewa tau tolu koe first generation.
Koia.
Pea ka pau te tato ki lawa ki ai ana yangi o ku usai pe ia ka e whokia te taimi ka koe.
Au pehe e survey ko eni, ko ki nau tolu koe o ku pehe koe o ku kau I he first generation. Hange koe o ki I difficult, ki mamafa ki a te ki nau tolu, ke nau whekumi ki hea ngahi financial, pe koe scholarship, ke lava ke tokoni ka te ki nau tolu e university. Aia koe hanga koe lau ai hoa, ko ki maua koe first generation, Aia ku iloia e maua e ngahi whaunga koe na e lava koe ke tokoni ki a te ki maua, pe koe ha ai whaunga koe na ma wish, fie mau na e mahino I he taimi koe na e ke alo ki hako. Pea koe polokalama koe ni o ku whai atu, koe tokoni he toko lahi ai first generation he tau kakai. Pea oku ongo le vaia ki maua, koe uhi, koe whekumi koe na ama whai I he kuohiri. Aia koe uhi kun oku ma loto ai ke vahe ai ngai mea koe ni, ke tokonia ki he tau whanau koe oku become a first generation. Aia koe kapau oku ai ha whanau oku second generation, aia e hoko lewa ai nau mātu a nau tolu, koe tokoni ki nau tolu, he ku nau o si alu nau tolu he hala koe na nau kamata nau tolu ai, pa ku nau ilo, pa te nau hanga lewa tokoni e nau whanau. Aia koe pehehe e ripoti koe ni, oku ki mamafange ki he first generation ke nau ilo ai ngahi mea koe, te ke nau lava o whai. Aia manatuat ke tau ngahi vahe I he pehe ki he mahina kua o si, pe koe mahina atu, na tau tala noa ki he ngahi resources. Pea kapau oku ai hau ki ta masimu hau ki ta hine oku alu ki he university, pea ofa pe ke hoko ai ngahi mea koe ni uku vahe atu, ke tokonia ki a te ki nau tolu. He oku mai pehe e ripoti, tala mai pehe e ripoti ai ngahi fie mau koe ni mo e ngahi mea ko fie ilo ki ai whanau koe ni.
Koia. Koe mea mahu inga whakeni ko manatu i ka koe polokalama koe i he mahina ko osi tākanga e nau whohe. Esta teila maire pia mono hoa, hiki fo o maire, o na e vahe ma upea i ngai mea ai neongo ai whainga taa ia. Na nao ma upe ko hi ko ngahi u mea na nao mai ko ia mi tonga, pia ku ui whapapala ngahi tools e toolbox. Na nao ma upe o kore tokoni ki he counselor mo tā noa ka nau tolu, pia tokoni e ngahi apiako koe ni ke na whanau o whakako ki nau tolu. Pea o ku tuunga rei au pito ko mei ka maafoki ai toi ngā he whanau, koe uhi koe ngahi ngāwe koe ia ai onga mātua koe ni, koe resources o ku mahu inga au pito resources. Pea koe ni hao koe ia ki he survey koe ni, koe first generation man, manatu, na tau mai fuka ki tau lokhanga o iloi ai ngahi u processes, pe uku ai pe uku ai mea koe, pea koe tau ilo koe ia, kono uhinga ia u whaingofua ai ki tau whanau, pe koe second generation, uhi ku tau osi fau mai tau toe ki hala koe, hangi koe lau koe ia motu i havelu, kua kamata ke papa i ki hala, ai hala koe ki whare lo tu mo hala ki apiako, kai koe hala ka, pea koe tau ilo i koe ia ngahi mea koe ia ke whai koe ia i university hang koe apply ke scholarship i koe financial aid. Ka toa ngahi umea koe ia, tau hangare me tau ako e tau whanau, pea whai ngō fuangi ka nau tolu.
Koia.
Koe anga whukia e ngā ue, ke nau hake nau tolu o le rei, pea tau e saiangi ia tau tolu. Koe anga e tau ngā ue. Ka whukia te taimika koe.
Koe whakaosi koe ai survey koe ni, pehe oku fie mau e whanau ia ko e ni ha kau advisor, pe koe hai i mentor, pe koe i he high school koe u guidance counselor. Nau fie mau e nau tolu ia ai professional ko e ni, ke hoko koe guidance, ke help nau tolu, ke tokoni kia ki nau tolu, ke nau ilo ai path, goe o totonu ke nau fōwai. Aia mahu inga ai whakakaukau ko eni, he na tau ostala noa tau tolu ia ki he ngahi fōunga ko eni, mo ngahi resource ai connecting koe ki he counselor, mo e kapau oku alu ke university, oku iai ai advisement center ki he university ko toa pe. Ko mau tolu ia o ku kehepe e mau advisement center ki he tokon ki he whanau, ko e whahai koe o ko kawai au, ko e tokoni koe ki he admissions, financial aid, scholarship, records and registration, mo e anything finances ke tokon ki he whanau i he apiako. Aia o ku koe nau fie mau, te sio lewa ki he ngai fie mau koe e whanau o ku nau sio, o ku iai hakakai, te nau lava o tokoni ka te nau tolu, ka ki he taimeni ihi, kai ke nau i loi, pe ko hai.
Koia.
Mahalo pe o ku iai e nau counselor i he high school, ka o ku mahalo pe o ku nau pehe o ku kai ke toko lahi whiunga, ke mau e toko ni mea te nau tolu.
Koe palopare mafo ke counselors o ku ha mahino i ngai whakatotolo whakahako. Fufie mao ke counselors ke nau look like them. Hange koe ni ko Team View o ku iai ai tamasi i ko Kalaniwalu i Team View pea o ku fia ai whanau kau mai mātu ai taimgo nau atuai ke nau meet pea moia pea te tokoni urewa ki nau tolu. Aia ko ki mo tolu ko ia kakai tonga wa mo whanau fiu, tonu ki tau iai whaahinga nihi o ku le rei au pito anga nau ngau e mo e whanau. Nau wakawakai i atu ai counselling jobs. He whai ngofua pea e lava o tala ngofua mai ki ai whanau mo toka i he whanau. Whoke te tai.
Koe moone au pito ho o lau, ka pau e look like ai counselor ki he whanau, e whaingo fuange e nau. Koe ku whakataha koe mo e whanau ako. Ka pau koe polinsia, ka oku ma telefoni, ka o hanga e nau dolo set my appointment ni ke telefoni. Ka mata pe e telefoni pa te upeheange. E lava pe ke ta Zoom, ke ta video, ke he go fesi au ke toko taha koe ni, pe hanga he toko taha koe ni o si o mai ke te au. Pe oku whakawhiewhia e te sio ke ata koe toko taha polinsia, Pe hoko kia te au whiewhia, he ku sio ke aki nau tolu koe kau polinsia, pa ku nau whie mau e ku toko ni. Koe aho ni na aku, na e te he e ku appointment ni maha e tolu i he aho ni. Koe aho nia na e PC au pito he na e whai admission deadline a ne afi. Aia koe kau phone call koe he aho ni koe toko whie mau toko ni. Pea na utala noa moe ki ta ahine haa moa. Pea whaiwe koe tala noa pau pe atu lewa. E lava nai ke ta video e ta appointment ni. Fia ki ta ahine. Asi mai koe ki ta ahine. Asi mai mo ene whae. Asi mai mo en grandma. O nau sio mai koe taha polini sia nau fia. Sio atu au ko loto au ke fia tokoni ka tek nau tolu e nau fia. Aia koe fia mau ia e whanau ako ke iai hataha me whaha i koe o university ke toko ni i ki nau tolu. O whabeke i he university koku alukai ho whanau ke hanga o whekumi pe ku ai hataha neongo pe ku whaiako, pe ku counselor, pe koe hāpeha ngahi wheitu o ku kāwai i university. Whakamaheni he te nau lava e nau tolo tokoni atu ko kia te koe, toko ni i ho whanau, pa te nau hanga o tala mai hangahi resources o ku toe makeheange, pa e whaingo fua au pe ai counselor o ku polinsi, kaupala, bea kaupala tonga, rea whakaha amoa. Aia mauhanga e mautolo. Aia ko kumieni ki he ngahi whie mau ko e lip po tala noa aki ki ai. Bea
Ko te whikau aki pia moe. Maho inga au pito e nau uhi ke pa kai ko ngata pe he me au ta wahe ka ko ngahi u me me he ngahi pa o kumo oni a me ko fai ke waki heni pa tau foki mai ma tau fo i fasi go he ku ko le mai ke taki i le mo ha fe hoa uhi kana toki lava ma a sione pe mo Emily Malo.
Pisi, po mau e taki taunga o tau e futeria ki e ta whanau me whakamapuna.
Matala ilo se, ko e retirement, mahalo pe ko e reni pe hawhare, ke tana fwai.
E ho, pisi, pia whewhe le vai e kai mo inu. Whewhe ha taim ke taki e vai, whewhe e taka venga wha family me whasiasi. Whewhe o ka ahovale pe ko tala mai e toke tā, ko mau ko he kansa pe ko e mahaki mafu, pe kai te ke to e lava o ngā aue.
Peu ngā matala ilo se ko ina fihi e whakaukau.
Pe feo ka pau teke mate, os mau pe mea kotoa ke whako putu, mua konga mala e hoi a weho pisi teke poto a whe.
Ikai, koe mea ia koe teke moui, e ku matala ilo se.
Mani, koe whainga tari e nei au finisia e la via. Ka inga tonga, tā lewa ke whika telefoni hiva taha ono whaafitu taha walu fitua, pe koe fitu ni ma whātaha ua, balu noa ono, tatau ai pe koe hai tunga whamolele o ke iai, pe whaka immigration o ku ke iai, tā mai koe he kuma tā kātoa maua oua. Io, te matoko ni i koe ke ngoi fie mālie, pe kai ka venga iga, aho o whanau i he ka au. Pe a whakawhei koe e polokalama whakatu amelie, ki hao taonga au tau e futerie, i e taimi fitu ki he malu, e fiafi toko naki kotoa pe i ele ti o wāke tari whalau. Whakapapau i lewa, o whe unga aho taonga o ke tau whetuku ki ai, i e futerie ma aho whanau, mo e whanga makapuna. Whika telefoni, hiva taha ono whaafitu taha walu fitua, pe koe fitu nima, whātaha ua, walu noa ono.
For
O kuke wha amohe misi nai ki hao monu ke toko meilangi, tonga e. Ko taimi ko ke ngoi puputu ua he fie ma upa anga whakawawave ko aku ikai ha tenali ko tali monu meilangi. Tonga e, fefe taimi u fie ma ua ki ave ki se ni te ki eua ka aku hala pe hange ko siva e te amanaki ko tali monu meilangi. Iyo, ko ho monu meilangi he koe whaunga. Malu ilewa aki hao ki koloa whatonga ho ki no whakawawave. Pea koe toi make he ku tawhi atu e monu meilangi o whai whatongia mai pea me funga whanua. Koe whakaiki ki o hala whanonga ke monu meilangi ke Bay Area, hiwa ua nima taha walu tolu. Fika telefoni, hiwa ua nima taha walu tolu. Pea ko hofe tak pe ke Facebook monu meilangi. Pea ke funga whanua ki eua, fika telefoni, fitu tolu wha noa ua. Pe koe fitu nima, ua tolu, ua taha. Koe whanono reia me he monu meilangi loan and finance. Fika telefoni, hiwa ua nima taha walu tolu.
O iki mo e haamata pule ku whiawhia ke taitarerea pia ki motolu ki he ki taimi koe ni o kulawa toko ni atu ai ki he main substation ko ia ai paenga e wake tari whalau. Pia mo manatu i mau pe koe taimi sama koe taimia o kulahi ai busy, ai traffic. Pia o kuai pe ki taimi pehe ke whai a toko ni ki he main substation ko ia ai paenga e wake tari whalau. Kai ke ho lokto ke hoko ate ta pōtala noa ku hi koe ngai taimi whaofofa hono tuku mai ai ngai umea pēni whikau aki pē moe ako. Koe uhi ku whatonga i hange koe ulawe koe ane nei o kulahi ai drop out. Ka ukai ke whaahanga he e u state o tuku mai ai ngai whika ko ia. Ke manatu i whoki na e ngawa ke hinga u state to lahi ai paanga koe me federal government ko paurewa ke nau responsible. Ka koe uhinga i wahe koe ni uhi koe state koe i utaha ka pau te mō whātonga te mō lao peo whikumi ke ngai u state ko toa pe o ko mō iai ai whenga ai state ko toa pe ke tokoni a ki nau tolu koe na e nofo mehe ako. Te kai mao ko ia nau tipiloma pe ko ha degree. Ka ko loto ke wahe ai mea mo oni na e hoko ho iki mo e haamata pūre. Ko hi ko ku kau ngā mea. I he e mau ko toko tahataha o ki mau tolu na e tāri ki he polokama ko ia e toke tā i BYU. Pea koe anga e polokalama koe ni na e o mai e tau e walu ko pau ke osi i he tau e walu. Aia koe tau ia nima koe ngai ukalasi ke ko pau ki ke to'o. Ai ukalasi a tātāpi. Toi rewa tau e tolu ke taimia o ke whai ai ho o ngahi research. Pea koe osi koia e te whui tau koia nima ko pau rewa ke ai comprehensive exam. Aia koe sivi whakaluku fua ia. Whiunga mo e mahina taha sivi koe ni. Ho eki mo e hama tāpuni. Ko tūna e kapana e loaloat mahal na e osi e lai ulu.
Aia ka pau o ku te stress be ki tahe ki i sivi ko o hou e taha. Ua noa e fo i mahina e taha.
Ko ia, pena e pehe rewa e sivi koe taimi koe ke statistics. Koe te aloat koe ki he moni, he koe kalasina e whai whuk tūsite mo tu apore lulu. Aia koe tūsite o kwhai he review, tu apore lulu, ho eiki mo e haamata apure, tuku mai hou ai walu ke whai e exam.
My goodness.
Pea ko manatu e taimi goni mō mohe mo tau ko whanonga tau ke ifo mō mohe, o si mate au e fie mohe. Kai ke, Naianga pehe ai comprehensive exam o se mahina taha, pe te taitarewa ke hui ke taha pe o ku aia koe review he tūsite, pau ke to'o exam hoa walu i tua pule lulu. Pea tēnin ko wiki taha ko kalasi e taha. Ai ko wai mo loa classes na mawau ko pau ke ai moia. O si koe e fo i mahina i taha pea ko e mau mai koia ai ola CV ku te pāsi. Masi, o ku mōre e te toi whakaukau te ke fie kaia, fie mohea.
Moenga ngana e ulu.
Pea, ka koe mi aini ko fie wahe ki ai ho eiki moe haa mta pūre. Ki mua koia pa kau koia ki he comprehensive exam. Toko tolu ia ku o drop out ki nau tolu. Kai ke nau lawa nau tolu ia o handle ai whahinga rigorous uhiu nau ngau e full time, mau ngau e full time, pea te hau o ako full time ka tūsite pe mo tu apure lulu. Pea koe kalasi hoa ono he tūsite, hoa ono e tu apure lulu. Ka koe uhinga wahe koe kau ngā mea koe ni. Talu e ma ngau e whakataha mo i toko taha koe ni. Pea koe osia koe e mau comprehensive exam. Pea tama e iaia e ki alu ki Hawaii. Pea toki foki mai. Koe taimigo osia comprehensive exam pa te noforewa whai e te whakatotolo. E te research. Pea muta iyo. Alu peka ke mantui ke foki mai. Mantui fuki o mai whai tau e tolu ke aia koe ne walu ia. Nima ngai kalasi o mai rewa i tolu koe o walu aki. Pea alu e toko tahani o se mahina e tolu e ke mai he e advisaka te au pe kui fe ia ko tangi. Na tamai e alo vacation mo aene mea i Hawaii pa foki mai. Fiu advisa he fei ngā tu tādi ke telefoni kai ke tari mai. E-maili atu kai ke tari mai. O se mahina ko ia hono nima. Me ono ne mahina e ne alu ki Hawaii i kai peke toi whakawhitu utaki mai.
Vacation loa da mai.
Hange koe lau koe ka Hawaii. Holo fuoloa moni ai motuane. Koe mea in koe o whakalolo ma o iki mai haa mata pūre. Te ko talanga rewa ke advisa kataki whakamone more. Te whaipeha e-maili i he wike ka hoko mai mo ha telefoni. Pau tātu kene telefoni kai peke tari mai ia. Tātu advisa ke he whika nau api kai peke tari mai. E-maili atu e nima. He fo wike whaka osia. Ke osia mahina e ono. Kai peke tari mai. Pea tu uni rewa e he teen ko ia o e api ako. O e korisi ko ia. Ke o atu rewa a he termination letter. Muhanga whakatonga i ta ue nima e ne totongi. Pea ko e totongi ko ia o e tuition pe ko e totongi ako. O i kaige maa ko te a o koe ke he revolo e toki tā koe ma mawha atu.
Pehe nai na e ririu e ne telefoni, pe ko ne e-maili, pe na ne mau ai ngahi whetu utaki koe ni? He taimi koe ia?
O kui kai ke utui ki ai. Uhi koe taimi koe na te whetu utaki mai a o se mahina e ono. O kou tātu he ne telefoni pe a ne tari mai. Mahina mai rewa na kai ke ririu e telefoni. Pe au eket koe ki ai koe whai atu e whainga e advisa pe a moe ngahi tu uniu kai te ke tari mai. Pea koe uhinga i au ku terminate ai koe. Se ita lahe e toko taha koe ni. Pea kai ki ngata heni so more e ne paanga lahi whaka uria. He ko whakawhawhua ki he tuition ko ia ki he toke tā o ku mei nofu atu ki he ofi atu ia ki he ono noa 60,000.
Kau kai koe paanga pe ka koe toe taimi. Na ne awea e ukalasi koe ni.
Paanga pea moe taimi. Pea hange ko ulawe koe ane nai. Mōre hono taimi e comprehensive exam. Ko mahina e taha e te exam kehe i he wike ko toa pe. Pea koe exam koe ngahi sivi koe ni hoa walu ke fo i kalasi. I he wike ko toa pe. Tua prelu ko toa pe koe exam time. Pea koe ne kamata pe koe exam. Ko te ad ko download mai exam o ku automatic pe a kamata taimi ai. O ne tala pe o alu pe koe ne ofi pe koe hoa walu ku aire whakatokanga mai e osi. Paha ke te 10 in, na o mai ma ope ai ki minite nima, ke 10 in. Pau ke te 10 in, pe a kanseri ai pe ki tai ai. Kai ke, koe uhinga ai vahe ho iki mo hama tā pūre. O kua ope ai drop out i ki he revolo ma olunga ko ia o e ako.
Koia.
Koe poini ia ko loto koe ke vahe.
Koia.
Pea whamalo koe vahe whai e Dr. Tonga o ne vai. O hina e foki mai ia o hao mai he matapā e taha o kui koe GED pe koe. I kiwaran ia o e graduate ko ia pe me high school. O hao ai pe tokoni whai e Willow Finau mo e ginau tolu kehe kau mai e hoa, mo e familia e hoa, haa ika. So ne taria uri ika, pea mono hoa. Kau maa foke o whiwhine mo e whanau. O ne lava i le rei ai. Aia koe vahe koe ni he ku kauen ha mea lahi. O ku whaipe drop out he bachelors, te whaipe drop out he masters, o te au be he toke tā o kei drop out be ai whahinga ni. Ka koe poini kou whi mao koe ia ke tuku mai koe ia e he vahe koe ni artikolo koe ni. O ku iai ai whaahinga o ku peheni ho eiki mo hama tā pūre. O ku hu mai o ako o se tae taha ta ua pe toi hoki tua. Hu mai o ako pe toi hoki tua. O whakataonga e ange ki nau tōlu kua lawa ne ta o e wanima o te kaipeke mau ha foi la i pepa e taha pe koe tikuri e taha. Pea koe ni ihia ngai mea o vahe koe he ni. Pea koe no mahu i ngai ia o e mea ne lawa kia Dr. Tonga o ne vai ai palani. Mahu inga ke nau mea i he whanau ai expectation. Ka tuka de taimi ka koe koe hea koe mea o ke e whie vahe.
Koe o kuai pe taime ni ihi hange koe ni koe kakai whiwhine he. Taime ni ihi o nau wō ka mata e nau ako pe a hoko mai ki he hau koe ki family wa e nau whanau pa te nau drop off ki me he university ke toka ngā i e whanau. Taime ni ihi osi koe ai toka ngā i e whanau a re whanau ki he ako pea toi fie foki lewa ai kakai whiwhine ko e ni ki he ako ke whaosi. O ku mua credit ki he brave ai kakai ko e ni he ku nau loto. Nau loto aki e nau fie mau ke mau ha nau matai tohi. Pea neongo pena e iai haki break in between. Ka ku nau fie loto pe ke foki pe ke hoko atu. Na e tokoni ke i whiwhine ne koe nina e tau fitu walu. Mei walu noa. Na e koe experience ai ki i whiwhine koe ni, na e kamata e ne ako, pa taimi koe na e mau ai hahoa, mau ma whanau, pea tuku lewa e ako, kai tuku ia ke nofo tau he whanau, kai hoko atu pe hono hoa, o mau e mata i tohi a hono hoa, ka koe nofo e whiwhine koe ni o tauhi e ne whanau, taimi koe na e osia e ne whanau, pane pehele wa ke toi foki ki he ako. Ka na hange koe na ne o ngoi iri fia he koe osia e ne hangai fu uta uvlahi e ne ma vahe me he api ako. Peten pehe nai pet kune whakakaukau, peten ne toe lava o mau ha ngahi whakakaukau o kutoe mahino ange o hange ko ia na ane mau koe hene keisi. Kai sio atu ki ai koe tau fitungo fun maa valo. Ha oe whiwhine koe ni foki ki he ako. Aia he taim koe na mawhakatahi na e lahi ene ukre titi koe na e osi. Pea o angelewa ai telefoni ene advisor ke na connect, ke na hanga o figure out. Pe koe ha ai easiest, pe koe quickest, pe mai ki whine motu aia kia te au. Sio mai kia te au ko me ta o walu noa. I want the fastest way to get my degree before I go on to the next life. Mahu ingai mea koe ni ke ki whiwhine koe ni aia hanga lewa e au connect ki he advisor o na hanga work out. Aia ko he taimi koe na e osi ai e na whakataha na e toe befo i kalasi e hiva. Aia ko e lava he ki he whiwhine fo i tau e taha. Bea ne hanga o iku nai ai whenga koe ni. Aia o pehe neongo pe taimeni ihi oku te mawahe mehe ako ihe lolotonga ai ako koeni ka ofa pe ke te toi foki mai I mui o toi hoko atu. Ka koe mahange koe mahalo oku ki I maha pe taimeni ihi oku ririu ai uka lasi koe uto tonu ke te ave. Koe me ai uto tonu ke te fe mau ai tokoni a advisor ke tokoni I kita.
Koe mea mau inga whokieni pia hange ko lawe koe ane nai. Koe ngāwe lahi o kwhai ki mōtolo kakai whewhine. Ngāwe lahi whamana wahe pia ukai ke ala whamatalai mō aonga pia mō ngāwe o ku mō whai. Koe tō tāko tō pe unofo mehe a ko te kei mau hono degrees. E wai mau pe ai ki fo I re oia e whanawhana mau pe ke tō tāko ni ke whoki o whakaosi e mea ko ia na ane kamata. Pe ku hāno fuoloa ka upau pe ke whai ai whoki. Pe hange ko e whine eiki ko ni, ko e nae e whine eiki na mau graduate whakataha ki mau tau nau pe he au e kau e whine eiki he drop out. Ta ono ai whine eiki he mau kamata. Koe tu o tolu e ne whoki mai ki he polo kalama. Laki kamata pe alhono hoa ki Vietnam, whoki mai ko ia pe ai whoki whanau. Pe toi hū mai, pe toi hū ki tua kono tolu eni, pe koe ne me ena ne wahe, ko hao koe ni hei kai ki toi hū ki tua ka o rewa ko mau, a hoku mata I tohi. O lau ke aho koe na e graduate ei, na e graduate whakataha pe mo ene taahine, pe graduate whakataha mo e granddaughter. Kau ia mea whakawhiawhia te sio ke laka ai...
3 generation.
Ai kui, koe toke tā, ko hono ofe fine mauia ai bachelors, pia toi maureo mai bachelors mai grandchild. Maria au pito ai ngahi umea peheni, ka koe uhinga o whaia I Utah mo ngahi u state ke he kehe, ke toko nii ai whanau, ko ia na e nofo ko ia me kōrisi. Kai ke ngata pehe elementary school, he ka drop out I oku whai he elementary school, whai he junior high, whai he high school. Pe au toi au pe drop out I ke university he level o e bachelors, pe ko e masters, pe ko e doctorate. Ai au kai keha nobody ke pehe o ku te au pe o kalasi hongo fulu. He koe taimi ko e te au pe kalasi hongo fulu ko mahina mai te graduate. Koe taini mi ko e drop out I whai he kalasi tahawa. Lahiangi e drop out he kalasi tahawa. Ai rewa o whakakau kawa I utani ka bai ngai u state kehe. Ke nau hanga whaiha tokanga makehe me teki nau tolu ko ia na e nofo pia me university. Paka pau waha taha pehe I he paenga, pe waha taha pehe uku ke meai, e lama pe o whai e tokoni e teki nau tolu, ke ngai university ko ia ki vahe ki ai process. Manatu I ko ngai tokoni tae totongi. Koe, o atu me he paenga e wake tari whalau.
Koe apiako koe ni o ku ngāwe ai. O kui ai ai polo kalama ia o kui koe Bachelor of General Studies, he? Aia koe polo kalama ia koe ni o ku ohange ia ki nau tolu koe na nau kamata I he university, pea alu, pea kai ke mau e nau mata I tohi. Aia o kui ai credit requirement ke te hanga o whaka o to'o ai ngai kalasi. Pea ka pau te apply ki he whaha I ko eni, o ku kai ke ai ha nau specific area of studies, ka koe general, he? Ai aku nau whe mau, te nau sio e nau tolu ia ki he o kalasi koe nai o si ave, pe pakuai e nau requirement ke mau ai ho o bachelor ki he general studies, pe. Ai ka pau o ku na e pehe ai ako ho ahataha na o ke maheni moia, pau pe ke whakatoanga I ki ke tā ke apiako koe oku ako e pena e ako ai, pe oku ai ha nau polo kalama pehe e lava ke nau toi foki ai o whakaosi ai e nau ako. He oku taimeni ihi o ku whakawhiawhia au pito ki he kakai ko e ni e nau neongo pena e ai ha ngahi palani na nau fie mau pana e hoko e palani o ki i tō sii. Ka te nau lava pe o to e whoki mai o whaka o se e nau a ke lava ke nau mau ai ha fie.
Koia. Ange koe mo whakatonga i hoi mo i maha mata pule e toko tahani. Pea ku graduate e toko taha koe ni mahalo ki ti sema pe koe tau fo ou. Mo whakatonga e ngahi tau e ne takai holo. Takai holo e toko taha koe ni kua o nia tau tolu ngofulu o te ke pe ke mau a hono mata i tohi. Ka koe ki i reo koe au hau koe ke foki o toi whakaosi ai a ko pene whai pia foki rewa o whakaosi. Mohanga whakatonga i ai whika hau eiki mui haamata pūre. Koe whika ena o ki nau tolu ko ia ku nau o mai o ke kolisi pa nau foki. Pe nofo me kolisi te kai mao han nau matai tohi. Koe whika lahi whakauria ena. Toko tolu kilu. Tupu. Ai kakai i utani ata pe utani na o ke university pa nau nofo mai pe ko ha pe whanga uhinga na nau nofo ai ka ko uhinga u whai e tokanga make he pe ko uhinga ia tokanga make he a California he ulaheangi whika ia i California mungahi u state ke he aia ko me au tonu ki tau ko ki nau tolo o nau lawa whai e tokoni hangi ko lawe ko ia Dr. Tonga Onewai tokoni ke community pe ko whewhunga waka o ke mea ai pe mo ki mautolu pe ala nima o whai ai tokoni. Ki o tau kai.
Koia. Aia o kapau o kuiai ha o ki kulupu o ku fie mau tokoni pe kuai ha fo i famili o ku fie mau tokoni. Ma ofa tu pe ma i fie tokoni kapau o ku fie mau, Kapau o ku waiha o whanau o ku need help ke admission application ki he university pe ko e whakafondu ko e formu ko e financial aid pe ko e scholarship o ku ma fie tokoni atu ki motolu kapau o ku fie mau ai tokoni.
Koia. Pea e lava pe o whai ai ngahi tokoni ko ni via Zoom uhi ke tau whemaraki pia tau lawa rewa wahe pia mō mana tui mau pe hau eiki mo haamata pūre koe tokoni koe kia te koe oku confidential. Pia oku mahu inga ia kia teki mō tolu ke mō mea i mahu inga kia teki maua uhi koe whahinga tokoni mau pe he ko tau kakai whae taime nihi oku maa ki nau tolu ia he kore tokoni. Ko kau ia he urunganga o sta tonu ke Oset Bay ai Tonga. Ke te mā ka te mate, kono uhinga lahe ni o kulahea no ngāwe aki ngahi u service koe ni peheni he kakai Hispanic. Koe ke nau mānau tau, ka nau ilo i peha fo i matawai o kuawa mai te nau mau mo ui me ai. Nau ui ngaki e kakai. Ka whainga kakai fo i o pehe. O au ke he taimeni ko manatu i he whaatu o ke u meet peha mo he kau principal. O koe wakai peu tūri atu kai tangutu mau pe. Mata whaka au wha pe koe mea peu hoko, koe vai ai pe loto o he pūre, pe koe VP, pe koe whaiako, pe koe counselor, o tamai ke taritara min te tanima pe tok hu mai. Koe mea inu mahu ingai ke tau ilo e resources, ilo i ai expectation. He koe mea lahi tahai koe kai ke tau ilo i koe expectation. Wahe ke tau whanau, a ko i ke tau whanau, tu o fiha, tu o taha he wike o na to e tuku ke tae a koi, pia mo wahe ka tek nau tōlu ko maua i he aho sāpate, whae e ngahi umea peheni, uhi ke nau ilo i, pia i kai ke te aha whaka vei ua, ia teki nau tōlu o kai ke nau ilo i expectation, ai mātua mea teki nau tolu, university ka teki nau tolu, ngahi kolisi o na oka kei School of Nursing, buka law school, ka mui kau whai ako.
Koia, mahu inga au pito.
Koia. E hau eiki mui hamata pūre, pia koutui koe Lava ia o e polokalama ki he fiafini. Ka koe ngai mea mahau inga ni uhike mo whakakau pe ki ai he ufu mahau inga au pito ia.
Ko ia. O whape ke hoko ai ngahi mea koena e whakahe ki e fiafini. Ke tokoni e ke te motolu. O whape ke hoko ai onki I mātua koeni o whahoha atu. Hoa mea ngau e ke te motolu. Mo whanau. Ke lava ke tokoni I au whanau ke mātua e maoha. Mo ui o lelei angi. Pea kahau o to e fiefia angi ki a ki nau tolu. Pea ki mo tolu foki ai mātua.
Ko ia. O ku whaafofa maope ho eiki mai hao tā pūre pea. Ora whamole atu ai moto a whai whatongia. Kau maa ai hoa. Ngā hoi aki maope ai ngahi lea mahina ngofua pea katawangi ki ma whamamalu mao atu ai pe I he talamalu e whonua. Pea pao kuaha ngahi wahe o ku ngāri whakamatatua pe hangi nai o ku bikia pe ia ngahi whonga pehe o kai ki aha whakaukau pehe kai wahe ai ngahi mea mooni hoko mo ngahi mea o ku tau anga maheni ki ai mo tau kei ki ai pea o whalahi ke teki mo tolu ho eiki mo e hamata pūre ko ia ko mo mea mai ke polokalama lofa talamatangi kwa hoko laivi ma'u atu ai pe pea ni he BYU Global Mini Substation ai painga ai wā ke tariwhalau. Koe lawa ia o e fua whatongia e whiawhi whakakoloa koni ho eki me hamata pūre o ma'u o whalahi ki o mungai whafonga e tau ngau e whakataha ko I ki ko I kaha o e tau whanau whakamokopuna o e mangai whakamaka ko toa te o mo mea ai ka mou mea